Story 1, The Breathing Road. The asphalt was breathing underneath my tires, and I could feel its rhythm through the steering wheel. Slow, deliberate inhales that made the entire Kenworth rise 3 inches, then exhales that dropped us back down. I'd noticed it around mile marker 178 on the Dalton Highway, somewhere between the Yukon River and Coldfoot, Alaska, where the December darkness swallows everything at 3 in the afternoon. My name is Robert Hayes, 42 years old, 20 years hauling freight through every miserable corner of North America, but the last 6 months exclusively on the Haul Road. That's what we call the Dalton, running supplies to Prudhoe Bay. The money's obscene because the conditions are worse. Negative 47 degrees tonight according to my external thermometer. My load, 12 tons of drilling equipment for BP, due in 36 hours. The breathing started subtle, just a weird rhythmic variation in the road feel, the kind of thing you'd blame on uneven permafrost or settling ice. But permafrost doesn't heave with biological consistency. 4 breaths per minute. I counted them, timed them against my dashboard clock. Perfect intervals, 60 seconds between each inhale-exhale cycle. I grabbed my CB radio. This is Icebox 7 to any northbound traffic. Anyone else feeling weird road movement around marker 178? Over. Static, not even the fuzzy kind with distant voices bleeding through. Complete silence, like the radio existed in a vacuum. The next breath lasted longer. 5 seconds of rising, my trailer creaking as the 5th wheel articulated, then a 6-second descent. My coffee sloshed in its thermos. The suspension groaned. I slowed from 50 to 35 miles per hour, watching the center line. The yellow paint looked fresh despite this road only getting maintained twice yearly. Too fresh. It gleamed in my headlights like it was wet, but nothing stays liquid at negative 47 degrees. That's when I saw the first handprint. It was pressed into the yellow paint itself, small, child-sized, with fingers spread wide. Then another, and another. A trail of them running down the center of the road, heading north, heading exactly where I was going. The road exhaled, and something in that movement felt angry. I'm not a superstitious man. I don't read horoscopes or believe in ghosts or worry about black cats. I believe in maintenance schedules and load distribution and keeping my logbook legal. But I've also learned that the Arctic operates under different rules than the lower 48. Things happen up here that don't happen elsewhere. Magnetic anomalies. Lights that aren't auroras. Sounds that travel impossibly far through the cold. The breathing intensified. Now the road was rising 6 inches on each inhale, enough that I could see the pavement literally swelling between my headlight beams. The yellow line undulated like a snake. The handprints multiplied, dozens now, hundreds, all child-sized, all pressed into the paint so deeply they looked 3-dimensional. My engine temperature spiked, 95 Celsius, then 100. The needle climbed into the red despite the ambient temperature being cold enough to freeze diesel solid. I checked my coolant gauge, full, oil pressure normal, but the temperature kept climbing. 105 degrees, 110. Steam began rising from my hood, billowing into the December darkness. But it wasn't white steam. It was yellow, the exact shade of the center line paint. I hit the brake, the air brakes hissed, and the Kenworth shuddered to a stop. The moment my wheels quit rolling, the breathing stopped. Complete stillness. The only sound was my own respiration, fast and panicked, fogging the windshield. Then the handprints started moving. They slid across the yellow paint like someone was dragging wet palms along its surface, converging toward my truck from both directions. North and south, they came streaming along the center line, leaving smeared trails. I could hear them now, a wet sliding sound that shouldn't have been audible through my cab's insulation, through the wind, through the engine's idle. Fuck this! I threw the transmission into reverse. The backup alarm beeped its warning, and I started rolling backward at 15 miles per hour, watching the handprints pursue me in my mirrors. They moved faster than I could reverse, gaining, sliding, getting closer. The temperature gauge hit 120 degrees. Impossible. My engine should have seized. But it kept running, kept pulling, kept dragging my 12 tons of cargo backward down this possessed highway while yellow steam poured from the hood in thick columns. A handprint slapped onto my bumper. I saw it in my mirror, materialized from nothing, a child's hand pressed against the chrome. Then another on my mud flap, another on my trailer doors. They multiplied like cancer cells, covering every surface and where they touched the metal. Turned yellow, not painted yellow, transformed yellow, the molecular structure of the steel changing color from the inside out. I stopped reversing, put it back in drive, floored it. The Kenworth lurched forward, engine screaming, turbo spooling up with a whistle that hurt my ears. 50 miles per hour. 60, 70, way too fast for this road, for these conditions, for the ice patches and frost heaves that could flip an 18-wheeler in a heartbeat. But the handprints were falling off now, unable to hold on at speed, peeling away into the darkness like shed skin. The road started breathing again, but faster now, frantic. 2 breaths per minute, then 4, then 8. Rising and falling in rapid heaves that made my trailer sway, made the load shift, made my spine compress and decompress with each cycle. The yellow line strobed in my headlights. There, not there, not there, blinking in and out of existence. Mile marker 179, 180, 181. I was putting distance between myself and wherever this thing was strongest, but the road was coming with me. The breathing followed. The handprints reappeared on my hood, pressing so hard they left dents in the metal, small dents, child-sized. My CB crackled to life, not static this time. Breathing, the same rhythm as the road, slow and deliberate, transmitted on Channel 19 where all truckers monitor. Someone, something, was breathing into a microphone, perfectly synchronized with the pavement's heaving. Icebox 7 to any station, I need help, over, I shouted into my handset. The breathing paused, then a child's voice, gender indeterminate, whispered, "You're driving on us." The road dropped 6 feet. Not inches, feet. The entire highway collapsed into a trench that hadn't existed a second before, and my Kenworth plunged into it nose first. My seatbelt locked. My head snapped forward and my forehead cracked against the steering wheel. Blood ran into my left eye. The trailer jackknifed, swinging perpendicular to the cab, and I heard cargo shifting, metal scraping metal, tie-downs snapping like guitar strings. When I could focus again, my headlights illuminated a tunnel. The road had become a tunnel carved through ice, through permafrost, through layers of earth that looked organic, ribbed and textured like the inside of a throat. The yellow center line ran along what would be the tongue. I was inside something's mouth. The walls contracted, peristalsis. The tunnel was swallowing me, pulling my truck deeper with muscular squeezes that moved from back to front. My trailer disappeared into the darkness behind me, dragged down the throat by rhythmic constrictions. I threw the transmission into crawler gear, lowest ratio, maximum torque, and tried to drive out. The engine roared. The drive tires spun, found traction, pulled. I gained 3 feet, then 6. Then the walls squeezed again and pushed me back 12. The CB, "You're driving on us. You're always driving on us." 37 children, pipeline construction. February 14th, 1977, "You're driving on us." I remembered hearing something about that. A camp accident decades ago. families living on site while the Trans-Alaska Pipeline was being built. A fire maybe, or a collapse. I couldn't recall the details, just that it had been bad. Children died. The number 37 sounded right. "I'm sorry," I said into the CB. "I didn't know I'm sorry. You're driving on us now." The tunnel walls split open and I fell. 20 feet straight down into a chamber carved beneath the highway. My truck landed on its side, and I hung suspended by my seatbelt, blood dripping upward past my face toward the passenger window, which was now the floor. My cargo had exploded through the trailer walls, drill bits and pipe sections scattered everywhere, glinting in the yellow light that came from nowhere and everywhere. The chamber was full of them. Children, not ghosts, not spirits, something else. They were part of the road itself, their bodies merged with the asphalt and ice and earth, their skin the texture of pavement, their eyes yellow like centerline paint. 37 of them, all ages from toddler to teenager, all watching me with expressions that weren't quite human anymore. One approached my cab. A girl, maybe 10 years old, her hair frozen into black icicles, her hand the same hand that had been leaving prints. She pressed her palm against my windshield, and the glass turned yellow where she touched it, turned soft, turned permeable. Her arm reached through the windshield like it was water and grabbed my throat. Her fingers felt like cold asphalt, rough and textured, and they squeezed with the strength of compacted earth. "Drive careful," she whispered. "We feel everything." Then I was back on the road, right side up. Mile marker 182. My engine was running normally, temperature gauge at 90 degrees exactly. No yellow steam, no handprints, no dents in my hood. My forehead wasn't bleeding. The Eiler was intact behind me. But my windshield was yellow now, not tinted, transformed. The same molecular change I'd seen on my bumper, and I could feel them underneath my tires with every rotation, every mile. 37 children paving the road between me and Prudhoe Bay. I still drive the Dalton. The money's too good to quit, but I drive slower now. I avoid potholes even when it's inconvenient. I never ever lock my brakes, because they're down there. I know they're down there. And every time my tires touch the asphalt, I feel them breathing underneath me, patient and eternal, waiting for the next driver who doesn't believe, who drives reckless, who forgets that this road was built on something that remembers. My CB crackles sometimes on channel 19. Just breathing, 37 rhythms overlapping, reminding me, you're driving on us, every mile, every load, every trip. I've tried other routes, different highways, but the yellow follows me. I'll be driving I-5 in California, and I'll see a single handprint in the center line, small and deliberate. Or I-90 through Montana, and my windshield will darken just a shade, another layer of yellow settling into the glass. They're spreading, using me as a vector. Every road I touch, they touch. And soon they'll be everywhere, beneath every tire, inside every highway, waiting just below the surface. Last week, another driver asked me about my yellow windshield. "Custom tint?" he asked. "Something like that," I said. He laughed. "Looks weird, man. Looks like you're driving through a nightmare." "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, that's exactly what it's like." Story 2, the dispatch that wasn't. The message came through at 11:47 p.m. on December 19th, my Qualcomm terminal chiming with a new dispatch while I was parked at a rest stop near Fort Nelson, British Columbia. Nothing unusual about that. Dispatch runs 24/7, and freight doesn't care about sleep schedules. What was unusual was the pickup location. 73 miles north of my current position, on a road that dead-ended into wilderness 30 years ago when the old mining operation shut down. Patricia Sullivan, that's me, 34. 8 years running reefer freight, mostly perishables down from Canada into the Pacific Northwest. I know every truck stop, every shortcut, every place where the coffee's decent and the showers are clean between Prince George and Seattle. I also know which roads exist and which don't, and Clinkett Mine Access Road hasn't existed since 1994. The dispatch message read, "Urgent. Pick up 248 Clinkett Mine Access RD. Medical supplies, critical delivery, customer waiting. Confirm acceptance within 15 minutes or load will be reassigned." I called dispatch, got voicemail. Tried my regular dispatcher's cell, straight to voicemail. Tried the after-hours emergency line, voicemail. Every single number dead. But the Qualcomm kept chiming. New message. 11 minutes remaining. Customer is waiting. Medical emergency. Confirm acceptance. I pulled up Google Maps on my phone. Clinkett Mine Access Road showed as a gray line with a dead-end marker. Street view wasn't available, too remote. But the road was there, or had been, branching off Highway 77 about 20 clicks past the last gas station. My gut said refuse it. My bank account said I'd been sitting for 18 hours without a load and needed the income. The message said medical emergency. I hit accept on the Qualcomm. Immediately, new directions populated my screen. Turn-by-turn navigation to 248 Clinkett Mine Access Road. ETA, 1 hour 12 minutes. Load description, medical supplies, temperature controlled, extreme priority. Payment, $4,000. $4,000 for a 73-mile pickup. That was 10 times the normal rate. I put the truck in gear and rolled out of the rest stop, my reefer unit humming at the back, maintaining 36 degrees Fahrenheit for cargo I hadn't loaded yet. The highway was empty. December in northern BC means darkness, cold, and isolation. My headlights cut through falling snow, fat flakes that accumulated on my windshield faster than the wipers could clear them. Highway 77 turned to ice 3 miles north of Fort Nelson. Literal ice. The asphalt vanished under a black glaze that reflected my headlights like a mirror. I dropped to 30 kilometers per hour, feeling the trailer slide slightly on every curve, the reefer unit's weight wanting to push me into the ditch. The Qualcomm chimed. Turn right in 800 meters onto Clinkett Mine Access Road. My headlights found the turnoff exactly where the GPS indicated. A narrow dirt track, half buried in snow, with a faded sign that read KIKIECCSS PVATE Prop TY, with most of the letters worn away. No indication anyone had driven it recently. No tire tracks, no footprints, just virgin snow stretching into the trees. I stopped at the intersection. Every instinct screamed to turn around. But my Qualcomm chimed again. Customer is waiting. Medical emergency. Turn right. I turned right. The road descended immediately into thick spruce forest, branches scraping both sides of my trailer with sounds like fingernails on metal. The snow was deeper here, unplowed, and my truck plowed through it, engine laboring, exhaust pouring black smoke into the white darkness. 17 kilometers. That's how far I had to go down this abandoned road to reach the pickup location. At kilometer 3, I saw the first handwritten sign nailed to a tree. Turn back. Kilometer 5, not real. Kilometer 8, dispatch is lying. They were fresh signs, the wood still light-colored, the marker ink unfaded. Someone had put them up recently. Someone who knew what was down this road. But my Qualcomm kept updating. Continue straight, 9 kilometers to destination. My CB radio exploded with static, and through the noise, a voice, male, panicked, breaking up. Whoever's on Clinkett Road, turn around, not real, they use the dispatch system, copy. They're not. The transmission cut off. I grabbed my handset. This is Frozen Quintu, I copy, who is this? Over. No response, just static. But then my Qualcomm chimed with a new message. Ignore CB interference, continue to destination, customer critical condition, medical supplies required. Kilometer 12, another sign. You will die here. My phone lost signal. Completely. No bars, no emergency calls, only just a no service message that shouldn't have been possible because I'd had full LTE coverage 2 minutes ago. The road leveled out into a clearing and my headlights illuminated buildings. A whole complex of them, offices, warehouses, residential structures, all perfectly maintained. Lights in the windows, smoke from chimneys, fresh tire tracks in the snow. A working mine facility that supposedly closed down in 1994. My Qualcomm, destination reached. Proceed to loading bay 7, customer will meet you there. Loading bay 7 had its door open, interior lights on, and a pallet sitting on the loading dock. Small boxes, maybe 10 of them, with red crosses stenciled on the sides. Medical supplies exactly as dispatched. A figure in a parka stood beside the pallet, waving me toward the bay. I backed my trailer to the dock, watching the figure in my mirrors. Something was wrong with their proportions. Arms too long, head too small. Or maybe it was just the parka and the shadows and my nerves turning everything sinister. My trailer connected to the dock bumpers with a thud. I set the air brake. The figure approached my driver's door. I rolled down the window 3 inches. I need a bill of lading, shipper information, destination address. The figure reached up, and their arm extended impossibly, stretching like taffy, like rubber, until their hand was at my window despite their body being 10 feet away. They pressed an envelope against the glass. Everything you need is inside. Load already secured in your trailer. Proceed to delivery location immediately. My trailer was empty. I need to watch the loading process. I need to verify. Already loaded. Check your cargo camera. Most modern reefers have interior cameras so drivers can verify temperature-sensitive loads. I had one. I pulled up the app on my phone, and the feed showed my trailer interior, and it was full. 40 skids of boxes, neatly strapped, the red crosses visible on every one. Loaded in the 60 seconds since I'd backed to the dock. Impossible. What the fuck is this? I said. The figure's arm retracted to normal length in an instant, snapping back like a released bungee cord. Medical emergency. Deliver to coordinates uploading now. Payment on completion. My Qualcomm chimed. New delivery address, coordinates only, no street address. I plugged them into Google Maps, middle of nowhere. 300 kilometers south, deep in the wilderness west of Prince George. I'm not delivering to some random GPS point in the middle of $4,000, cash on delivery, or breach of contract, choose. The envelope was still pressed against my window. I took it. Inside, $4,000 in Canadian hundreds, prepayment, and a handwritten note. They're already in your trailer. You can't unload them. You can only deliver them. Drive fast. They're getting hungry. I looked at the cargo camera feed. The boxes were moving, slightly. A subtle rocking motion like something inside was shifting weight, and I could hear it now through the trailer walls, scratching. Deliberate, rhythmic scratching on the interior walls. "What did you load into my truck?" I shouted. But the figure was gone. The lights in the loading bay went out. The lights in all the buildings went out simultaneously, and I was alone in the clearing, my engine the only sound, My headlights the only illumination, with 40 skids of something that scratched and moved in my temperature-controlled trailer. I should have unhooked, should have dropped the trailer and driven away with Jay. Used my cab, but I was locked in, fifth wheel engaged, air lines connected, electrical cable plugged in. I'd need 5 minutes to disconnect everything, and the scratching was getting louder. I drove back down Clinkett Mine Access Road, faster than was safe, my trailer fishtailing on the ice, the boxes in back sliding and shifting with every turn. The scratching intensified. Long scrapes like fingernails on metal, but metallic themselves, like whatever was inside had steel for fingers. The handwritten signs were different on the way out. Too late. They're with you now. Drive faster. My Qualcomm provided turn-by-turn directions south, taking me off Highway 77 onto secondary roads I'd never heard of, dirt tracks through wilderness, routes that didn't appear on any map. But they were real, plowed, maintained, marked with reflectors that guided me through the darkness. Hour 2, the scratching stopped, complete silence from the trailer. I checked the cargo camera. The boxes had been torn open from the inside. Empty. Whatever had been in them was loose in my trailer, and I couldn't see it. The camera showed only shadows and empty packaging and claw marks gouged into the aluminum walls. Hour 3, something heavy walked the length of my trailer. I felt each footstep through the frame, slow and deliberate, moving from the back doors toward the nose. Testing. Exploring. My reefer unit was between the trailer and my cab, the only barrier. I heard it sniffing at the refrigeration vents, heard claws scraping the compressor housing. Hour 4, my Qualcomm showed I was 50 kilometers from the delivery coordinates, but the roads had stopped making sense. I'd driven through the same intersection 3 times, recognized the same dead tree, the same mailbox. I was looping, trapped in a route that circled back on itself while my GPS insisted I was making progress. A new message on the Qualcomm. You're driving too slow. They're getting impatient. Accelerate or they'll come through. Come through what? I screamed at the screen. The reefer unit's aluminum housing ripped open with a metallic shriek. Something was tearing through it from the trailer side, punching through insulation and refrigerant lines and wiring. I heard hissing, coolant escaping, and then a long, wet breathing sound. Something massive in the space between my trailer and cab, separated from me by just the sleeper berth's back wall. I floored the accelerator. 80 kilometers per hour on a dirt road. 90, 100. The trailer swayed violently, and I heard whatever was behind me lose its balance, heard it slam against the wall with enough force to crack my sleeper berth window. The Qualcomm, 5 kilometers to destination. Maintain speed. Do not stop until delivery complete. The road opened into another clearing, this one with a single building. A hospital, old and decrepit, half-collapsed, with broken windows and a caved-in roof. But lights were on inside. Flickering, inconsistent, but definitely lights. And there were people on the front steps. Dozens of them, waiting. Stop at entrance, the Qualcomm commanded. Open trailer doors, delivery complete. I stopped. I didn't have a choice. Something in me, some compulsion embedded in that first acceptance message, forced my foot to the brake, forced my hand to the door handle, forced me to walk to the back of my trailer with legs that didn't feel like my own. The people from the hospital approached, close enough for my headlights to illuminate them properly. They weren't people. They were shaped like people, the way a child's drawing is shaped like a person, roughly humanoid but wrong in every detail. Proportions off, features misplaced. Skin that looked like poorly applied latex. I opened the trailer doors. 40 things that had been in boxes poured out. They moved like liquid mercury, like oil, like smoke given semi-solid form. They flowed past me, through me, cold passing through my chest cavity, and swarmed the hospital building, entering through windows and doors and holes in the walls, eager and hungry and finally home. The knot people watched them go, then turned to me. One spoke with a voice like grinding gears. Delivery confirmed, payment already received, contract fulfilled, you are released. My Qualcomm chimed one final time. Dispatch complete, return to service, thank you for your cooperation. I drove away, back through the impossible roads, back to Highway 77, back to Fort Nelson. By dawn, I was at a truck stop, and everything felt normal except for the back wall of my sleeper berth, which had 3 claw marks gouged through it, deep enough to expose the foam insulation, arranged in a pattern that looked almost like a signature. I called my dispatcher the next day, the real one. Did you send me a load to Clinkett Mine Access Road last night? Where? Never heard of it. Your logs show you were out of service all night at Fort Nelson Rest Stop. Check your system. Check for the message at 11:47 p.m. She checked. Nothing. You've been clear since you unloaded in Prince George 2 days ago. You feeling okay, Patricia? The $4,000 was real, still in my pocket. But the bills felt wrong, too smooth, too cold, like they'd been printed on something that wasn't quite paper. I get dispatches regularly now, normal ones, real ones. But sometimes, late at night when I'm parked alone, my Qualcomm will chime with a message that deletes itself before I can fully read it. Just a fragment. Thank you for your previous delivery. We may need your services again soon. And my trailer still smells like whatever I transported. A smell like formaldehyde and metal, and something organic that's been dead so long it started to become something else. No amount of washing removes it. I've thought about refusing if another message comes, but the compulsion is still there, buried in my nervous system, implanted by that first acceptance. If they dispatch me again, I'll accept. I'll drive whatever route they program. I'll deliver whatever cargo they load. Because I'm not driving for myself anymore. I'm driving for them, and they're very, very patient. Story 3, the 68th mile. Between mile marker 67 and 68 on Minnesota State Highway 171, there's a distance of 1.6 miles. And I've driven it 243 times without ever reaching mile marker 68. My odometer says I've traveled the distance. My GPS says I've arrived. But the mile marker never appears, and the road between 67 and the next marker, which should be 68 but is actually 69, keeps changing. Marcus Chen, 47 years old, regional driver for a food distributor running daily routes between Duluth and small-town grocery stores across northern Minnesota. Same route every day for 11 years. Same roads, same stops, same mile markers. Until December 10th of this year, when the 68th mile disappeared and took me with it. It started with the gas station. I'd passed it every day for 11 years, a defunct Conoco station boarded up since before I started this route with a rusted sign and empty pumps. But on December 10th at 6:23 a.m. it was open, lights on, cars parked at the pumps, a man waving at me from the doorway like he knew me. I didn't stop, passed right by, watching in my mirror as the station receded into the pre-dawn darkness. Except it didn't recede. It stayed the same size in my mirror, same distance away, no matter how far I drove. Half a mile later, it was still right there behind me, perfectly framed in my mirror, the man still waving. I looked forward. Mile marker 68 should have been visible in my headlights. Instead, I saw mile marker 67 again. The same marker I'd passed 2 minutes ago. Orange reflective numbers on a green sign, illuminated by my headlights at exactly the same angle as before. My odometer showed I'd traveled 1.3 miles since the last marker. My GPS showed my position as between markers 67 and 68. But I was back at 67, and the gas station was still in my mirror, equidistant, unchanging. I stopped the truck, put it in park, got out. The December cold hit like a fist, negative 28 degrees, according to the bank sign I'd passed in the last town. My breath crystallized instantly, falling as ice particles that tinkled on the pavement. The mile marker was real. I touched it, metal, cold, solid. The number 67 embossed into the reflective surface. I walked 10 feet down the road and looked back. The gas station was still visible, lights burning in the darkness. But now there were more cars. The parking lot had been half full when I'd passed it. Now it was packed, 20 vehicles where there had been 6. I got back in my truck and drove. Accelerated to 60 miles per hour, watching my odometer tick upward. 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, the landscape didn't change. Same trees, same ditches, same telephone poles spaced at identical intervals. And every time I passed what should have been a new mile marker, it read 67. My phone rang. My wife calling from home. I answered through my Bluetooth. "Marcus, are you okay? You didn't check in." I always called her after my first stop. Always, part of our routine for 11 years. I'm having trouble with the route. I think I'm lost." "Lost? You drive that road every single day." "I know, but something's wrong. I keep passing mile marker 67. Over and over, I can't reach 68. Silence, then, "Marcus, there is no mile marker 68 on Highway 171. "What?" "The markers go from 67 to 69. They always have. 68 doesn't exist. It's been that way since the highway was built. Some kind of surveying error." I pulled over again, grabbed my phone and checked Google Maps. She was right. The mile markers jumped from 67 to 69. No 68. But I'd driven this route 6 days, week for 11 years. I knew every marker. 67, 68, 69, in sequence, always in sequence. "I've seen mile marker 68, I said, "hundreds of times." "Marcus, you're scaring me. Are you feeling okay? Do you need me to come get you?" "I'm fine, I'll call you back." I hung up and studied my surroundings. Same stretch of road, same trees, but the gas station in my mirror had changed again. Now it was abandoned, boarded up, rusted, the way it was supposed to be. Except the cars were still there. 20 cars parked at a defunct gas station with no lights, no power, no reason for anyone to be there. I put the truck in gear and drove backward, put it in reverse and accelerated, watching the road unspool behind me in my mirrors. The gas station approached, grew larger. I was closing the distance, driving back toward where I'd started. But I never reached it. Half a mile of reversing and the gas station stayed the same distance away, shrinking now instead of growing, receding as I drove toward it. My odometer ran backward, 2.7 miles, 2.6, 2.5, but the scenery didn't change. I was stuck in the space between 67 and 68, in the mile that didn't exist, driving through distance that didn't accumulate. A car appeared in front of me, headlights in my windshield, approaching from ahead even though I was driving backward. I slammed on the brakes. The car stopped 20 feet away. It was a Pontiac Grand Prix late 90s model with 2 people visible in the front seats. They weren't moving, just sitting there, staring at me through their windshield. I put my truck back in drive and tried to go around them. But as I steered into the left lane, they moved with me, matched my position exactly. I steered right. They followed. stayed directly in my path no matter how I maneuvered. More cars appeared, behind me, beside me, emerging from the darkness like they'd been there all along and I was only now noticing. The 20 cars from the gas station, all in motion now, all surrounding my truck, all keeping perfect formation. I was boxed in, trapped in a convoy I hadn't joined. We drove together down Highway 171 through the space between 67 and 68. My speedometer read 55 miles per hour. The other cars matched my speed exactly. We passed mile marker 67 again, and again, and again. Inside the cars, I could see the occupants now. Families, couples, solo drivers, all staring straight ahead with expressions that didn't change, didn't blink, didn't react, like mannequins arranged in poses that approximated life but missed some crucial element. My CB radio crackled. "You shouldn't have stopped." A man's voice, flat, emotionless. "Who is this?" I grabbed my handset. "You're supposed to keep driving, that's the rule. Mile marker 67 to mile marker 69, don't stop, don't question, don't notice, but you stopped." "There is no mile marker 68. It doesn't exist." "It exists for people who stop. It exists for people who notice. Now you're here with us, driving forever, passing 67 forever, never reaching 68 because 68 is where you are, the mile itself, the space itself. We are mile marker 68. The cars tightened formation. Inches from my bumper now, inches from my sides. I couldn't change lanes without hitting them, couldn't slow down without them rear-ending me, couldn't speed up because they accelerated to match. "How long have you been here?" I asked into the CB. "December 8th, 1964, weather conditions, whiteout. I stopped to wait out the storm, never left." "That's 61 years ago." "Yes." Other voices joined in, different people from different cars, all speaking in the same flat tone. "March 3rd, 1972. October 19th, 1988. June 7th, 2004. November 22nd, 2019. Dates spanning decades. Drivers who'd stopped on this stretch of road and never escaped. Trapped in the non-existent mile, driving in formation, passing the same marker endlessly. "What happens if I crash?" I asked. "What happens if I run out of fuel?" "You don't, the mile provides. The mile sustains. You'll drive until you forget you were ever anywhere else." My fuel gauge read 3/4 full. It had been 3/4 full when this started. I checked my odometer, 247,618 miles. Same as when I'd first seen the gas station. Not increasing, not decreasing. Frozen. I tried my phone again. No signal. But the time display was wrong, 6:23 a.m. The same time I'd first passed the gas station. I checked my dashboard clock, 6:23 a.m. I checked my wristwatch, 6:23 a.m. All frozen at the moment I'd entered the 68th mile. The convoy turned. Not the road was straight, had always been straight. But the convoy turned anyway, veering right through the trees, through the ditch, through the physical barriers that should H. Ave stopped us. My truck turned with them. I wasn't steering. My hands were on the wheel, but the wheel was turning itself, guided by the same force that guided the other vehicles. We drove through the forest, between trees that should have been too close together to allow passage, over terrain that should have been impassable. But space bent around us, opening gaps, creating roads where none existed. We were driving through the infrastructure of reality itself, through the scaffolding underneath the physical world. And I saw them, others, hundreds of others, thousands. Cars and trucks spanning a century of automotive design, all driving in parallel convoys, all trapped in their own non-existent miles. Highway 171 wasn't the only road with missing markers. This was everywhere. Every highway with a surveying error, a skipped number, a gap in the sequence. They were all here, all filled with drivers who'd noticed the discontinuity and been absorbed by it. "You'll forget," the CB voice said. "We all forget eventually. You'll forget you have a wife, a home, a destination. You'll forget you're driving in a circle. It'll just be driving, forever driving, and that's not so bad. Driving is what we do. Driving is what we are." I looked at the faces in the cars around me. Some still had expressions: fear, confusion, desperation. Others had gone blank, and a few looked almost peaceful, accepting, like they'd forgotten to be afraid. "No," I said. "No, fuck this, I'm getting out." I yanked the wheel hard left. The truck resisted, but I forced it. The tires screamed. The trailer started to jackknife. I was breaking the formation, disrupting the pattern, and the other cars scattered like startled birds, their precise convoy dissolving into chaos. My truck tipped, went over onto its side. I was ejected. Seatbelt failed, or I'd never fastened it, or physics worked differently here. And I tumbled through the darkness, through the trees, through layers of reality that peeled away like tissue paper. I landed on asphalt. Highway 171. Normal highway. Cold December dawn. Mile marker 69 directly in front of me, illuminated by the headlights of a passing sedan whose driver didn't stop, didn't even slow, probably never saw me. My truck was gone. The convoy was gone. I was lying on the side of the road in my work uniform, uninjured, with my phone in my pocket showing 7:15 a.m. and a text from my wife. "Are you okay? You're running late." I walked to mile marker 69 and looked back. The road stretched into the distance, disappearing around a curve. Normal, empty, no sign of mile marker 68. But I could feel it. The absence. The gap. The space between 67 and 69 that simultaneously didn't exist and was the only thing that existed. I could feel the convoy still driving through it, endlessly circling, and I could feel the pull trying to drag me back. I called my wife. "I need you to pick me up. Highway 171, mile marker 69. "Where's your truck?" "I don't know. I'll explain later. Please just come." She came, drove me home. I called my boss and told him I'd been in an accident, truck was totaled, I'd need time off. He was confused. The truck had been found parked at our depot, undamaged, fuel tank full, my logbook showing I'd never left. But I insisted. Took medical leave. Saw a therapist who diagnosed stress and prescribed medication I didn't take. I don't drive Highway 171 anymore. I don't drive long distances at all. But sometimes, late at night, I'll be on any highway and I'll pass a mile marker and notice the next one is skipping a number. 63 to 65, 112 to 114. And I'll see cars pulled over in that gap, drivers standing outside looking confused, looking at their phones, looking for a mile marker that isn't there. And I want to stop, want to warn them, but I don't. Because stopping is how you get noticed. Stopping is how you become part of the mile. So I drive past, and I don't look in my mirrors, and I pretend I don't hear the CB radio crackling with new voices joining the convoy. One more driver discovering that some distances can't be crossed, and some destinations can't be reached. Mile marker 68 is still out there, still driving, still waiting for the next person who stops long enough to notice. Story 4, The Shadow Cargo. The manifest listed the weight at 42,000 pounds, but my truck was pulling 68,000, and the extra 26,000 pounds didn't appear on any scale or in any mirror. It only existed in the grinding strain of my transmission, and the way my trailer sagged toward the road like something was pressing down from above. Devin Wright, 39. Specialized heavy haul, oversized loads, the kind of freight that requires permits and pilot cars and routes planned around bridge weight limits. I'd pulled turbines, generators, prefab buildings, mining equipment across every province in Canada. I understood weight. I understood physics. I understood the difference between 42,000 pounds and 68,000 pounds, and that difference was impossible to hide. But it was hiding. I'd picked up the load in Whitehorse, Yukon Territory on December 16th. A legitimate shipment, mining equipment headed to an operation outside Norman Wells, Northwest Territories. I'd pulled onto the certified scale at the depot. Gross vehicle weight showed 68,000 pounds. I pulled off the scale and checked my manifest, 42,000 pounds. I pulled back onto the scale, 68,000 pounds. The scale operator looked at his screen, confused. Something's wrong with the calibration. This is showing way over what your manifest says. I'm seeing 68,000, I confirmed. That's impossible. The shipper loaded this 2 hours ago. Certified weight was 42. Let me reset the system. He reset it. I pulled on again. 68,000 pounds. I don't understand, he said. The scale's working fine. We just certified it last week. But you're 26,000 over. Did they load extra cargo without updating the manifest? I walked around my trailer. Flatbed, open on all sides, carrying 3 large shipping containers marked with the mining company's logo. I could see inside the containers through metal grating, drill bits, hydraulic components, nothing unusual. Nothing that would account for an extra 13 tons. Maybe the containers are heavier than specs, I suggested. We weighed them individually with a crane scale. Each one matched its documented weight within 50 pounds. Total cargo, 42,000 pounds, but my truck's gross weight, 68,000 pounds. I'm refusing this load, I said. Something's wrong. The scale operator nodded. Smart, don't move until we figure this out. But my phone rang before I could unhook. Dispatcher. Devin, what's the holdup? You're supposed to be rolling. Scale S showing 26,000 pounds over manifest weight. That's impossible. We have certified weights from the shipper. I know, but the scale doesn't lie. Silence, then, hold on. More silence. Then, okay, I talked to the shipper. They're saying their scale showed 42,000. They think your scale is miscalibrated. It's not, we tested it. Well, someone's scale is wrong, and this load is time critical. Customer needs it in 36 hours. If you refuse, we're going to have to reassign, and that's going to hurt your reliability rating. The implication was clear. Take the load or lose standing with the company. I'd worked too hard to build my reputation to let one weird scale reading destroy it. Fine, I said. I'm rolling. Great, be safe. I disconnected the scale operator's protest, released my air brakes, and pulled out of the depot. The extra weight was immediately apparent. My transmission struggled to find the right gear. My fuel economy dropped by 30% in the first 10 miles. And every time I crested a hill, the trailer wanted to push me forward, wanted to overrun the cab, the momentum all wrong for 42,000 pounds. But there was nothing visible. Just 3 containers on my flatbed, properly secured, containing exactly what the manifest said they contained. At the 70-kilometer mark, northbound on the Klondike Highway, something shifted in the trailer. I felt it through the frame. A weight redistribution, sudden and violent, like one of the containers had broken loose from its chains. I pulled over immediately, grabbed my flashlight, and inspected the load. Everything was secure. Chains tight, binders cranked, nothing had moved. But the trailer was tilted, 3 degrees to the left according to my level app. The entire flatbed was canted, suspension compressed on one side, like someone had parked a car on the left edge. I checked the tires, properly inflated. I checked the suspension, no visible damage. I checked the containers, centered on the deck, balanced, properly loaded. No reason for the tilt. I got back in the cab. The tilt was visible in my mirrors now, the trailer listing left, shadows falling wrong, geometry skewed. I pulled back onto the highway and immediately felt the drift. The truck wanted to steer left. Not wind, not road crown, but weight pulling me toward the ditch. At kilometer 120, the CB radio crackled. Northbound flatbed, this is southbound tanker. You got a serious lean going on back there. Over. I grabbed my handset. I know everything's secured, no idea what's causing it. Looks like you got something sitting on your deck, left side. Can't quite make it out in the dark. Over. There's nothing on the deck except 3 containers. Negative on that. I'm looking right at it. There's definitely something else, like a shadow standing up. You should pull over and check. Over. I pulled over, walked around the trailer with my flashlight, inspecting every Our inch, 3 containers, nothing else. I even climbed up onto the deck and walked the perimeter. Metal grating, chains, standard flatbed equipment. No shadow, no anomaly. But when I stood at the left edge, where the tanker driver said he saw something, my flashlight died. Fresh batteries, but it died instantly. And the temperature dropped. My breath had been visible all night, -15, but here on this specific spot, it turned to ice crystals that fell like snow. I climbed down, got back in my cab, rolled. The weight increased. I felt it in the acceleration, in the way the engine labored, in the grinding of the transmission. I checked a highway grade, 3% incline, that I should have handled easily at 42,000 pounds. My speedometer dropped to 30 kilometers per hour, engine screaming in 3rd gear, exhaust pouring black smoke. Another truck crested the hill behind me, lights in my mirrors. He caught up quickly, rode my bumper for a few seconds, then passed. As he went by, I saw his passenger take a photo of my trailer with his phone. Then they were gone. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. This is Constable Marsh, RCMP Highway Patrol. Did you just get passed by a logging truck? Yes, why? Driver called it in, said your load looks unsafe. Something about an extra passenger visible on your trailer. I'm 10 minutes behind you. Pull over and wait for me. I pulled over, checked the trailer again. Nothing. 3 containers properly secured, no shadow, no passenger, no anomaly. But the tilt was worse. 5 degrees now, visible even from the cab. The RCMP cruiser arrived, lights flashing. Constable Marsh walked around my trailer with his flashlight, took photos, checked my manifest, checked my permits. Everything looks correct on paper, he said. But your trailer's definitely tilted. And the logging truck driver was adamant, said he saw a person standing on your deck. Described it as a shadow figure, 7 feet tall, standing on the left side. There's nothing there. I can see that, but I also see the tilt. And I see your tire tracks in the snow, they're deeper on the left side. You're carrying uneven weight, that's a safety violation. The containers are centered, the load is balanced, I don't know what's causing it. He checked his thermal camera, scanning my trailer. That's weird, I'm getting a cold spot, left side of your deck. 30 degrees colder than ambient, like something's absorbing heat. There's nothing there. Then explain the cold spot. I couldn't. We stood in the December darkness, staring at my empty flatbed that somehow weighed 26,000 pounds more than it should, and had a 7-foot shadow person standing on it according to multiple witnesses, and a cold spot that violated thermodynamics. I'm ordering an inspection, Marsh said. Full teardown at the Norman Wells Way station. You'll have to continue there under supervision. I'll follow you. We rolled in convoy, me, the constable, and whatever was on my trailer. The weight kept increasing. By kilometer 200, my gross weight felt like 80,000 pounds. My transmission was overheating. My fuel gauge dropped faster than physics allowed, and the shadow was visible now even to me. I could see it in my passenger mirror when the angle was right, a humanoid shape, impossibly tall, standing on the left side of my deck, not standing on the containers. Standing on the metal grating which shouldn't have supported weight, just standing there, motionless, watching me through my mirror. I tried not to look, tried to focus on the road, but peripheral vision kept catching it, a darker dark against the night, a shape that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Marsh called me on my CB. I can see it now, definitely something on your trailer, not human. I'm calling for backup. What do you want me to do? Keep driving, slowly. Don't make any sudden moves. Whatever that thing is, it's attracted to your load. Or maybe it is your load. We crawled north at 40 kilometers per hour. More police units joined the convoy. 4 cruisers now, lights flashing, surrounding my truck like I was transporting explosives. Other drivers pulled over to let us pass, and I saw them taking photos, recording videos, posting to social media about the haunted truck carrying a shadow. At kilometer 300, the shadow moved. It walked from the left side of my deck to the right side. 7-foot strides, silent. I felt each footstep through the frame, gentle pressure like someone testing thin ice. And with each step, the tilt reversed. The trailer leveled out, then tilted right, suspension compressing on the opposite side. It's moving, Marsh radioed. All units, the entity is relocating. Maintain distance. The shadow reached the right edge of my deck and stopped. Turned, faced my cab. I could see it clearly now in my mirror, a figure shaped like a person but texturized like smoke lick. Shadow given 3-dimensional form. No features, no face. Just a silhouette that existed in too many dimensions, casting shadows in directions that didn't align with any light source. It raised one arm, pointed at my cab, at me. My engine died. Completely. All electrical systems failed. Headlights, dashboard, CB radio, everything. The truck coasted to a stop in total darkness, and the only light came from the police cruisers behind me. Devin, what's happening? Marsh on my CB, but my CB was dead, so I heard him through his cruiser's PA system. Devin, exit the vehicle, move away from the truck. I tried my door, locked. Not electrically locked, physically locked like the mechanism had fused. I tried the passenger door, same. I tried kicking the windshield, solid, unbreakable. The shadow climbed down from my trailer, walked along the right side, approached my door. I could see it through my window now, 7 feet tall, impossibly thin, with too many joints in its arms and legs. It placed one hand against my window and the glass turned black, not tinted. Black like ink had been poured between the layers of safety glass. Cold radiated from the window. My breath froze on my lips. Ice formed on the inside of my windshield, spreading in fractal patterns. It's trying to get in, I heard Marsh shout. All units, we need to intervene. Gunshots, the police opened fire on the shadow. I heard bullets hitting my truck, heard metal puncturing, heard glass breaking, but the shadow didn't react. Bullets passed through it like it was smoke, like it was nothing. It pulled its hand away from my window, leaving a palm print in the frost. Then it walked back to my trailer, climbed onto the deck and sat down on one of the containers, crossed its legs, folded its hands, waiting. My electrical systems came back online. Engine cranked. Headlights illuminated the road. Everything functioned normally. Marsh approached my door. "Are you okay?" "I don't know. What was that?" "I have no idea, but it's sitting on your cargo now, like it's guarding it, or like it's part of the shipment." We tried to continue. Made it 5 kilometers before the shadow stood up again and the weight increased to what felt like 90,000 pounds. My truck could barely move. The road was flat, but I was crawling in second gear, engine redlined, transmission screaming. "This load isn't going to make it," I radioed. "I need to drop the trailer." "Negative," Marsh said. "If you unhook, that thing might disperse, might go looking for another truck, another driver. We need to contain it." "Then what do you suggest?" "Keep driving. We're 20 kilometers from Norman Wells. Get to the way station. We'll have specialists waiting." The final 20 kilometers took 3 hours. The shadow paced the deck of my trailer back and forth, its movements growing more agitated. The weight fluctuated wildly, 50,000 pounds, then 100,000, then back to 50. My transmission failed twice. My tires shredded. I was driving on rims by the time the way station appeared in my headlights. A perimeter had been established. Military vehicles, scientists in hazmat suits, equipment I didn't recognize. They directed me onto a specific scale, reinforced, certified to 200,000 pounds, and told me to shut down. The scale read 147,000 pounds. "That's impossible," I said through my open window. "My truck can't physically carry that much. The axles would collapse." "The weight isn't physical," a scientist explained. "It's dimensional. The entity is using your truck as an anchor point, pulling mass from elsewhere. We've seen this twice before. Different locations, different loads, always the same entity." "What is it?" "We don't know, but it travels along freight routes, uses cargo as camouflage. When the weight discrepancy gets noticed, it manifests, becomes visible, attempts to defend its position. You're the 3rd driver this month." "What happened to the other 2? The scientist didn't answer, just looked at my trailer, where the shadow sat motionless on my cargo, barely visible in the floodlights. They unloaded my containers using a crane, working slowly, carefully, like defusing a bomb. The shadow watched but didn't interfere. When the last container was removed, the shadow stood, walked to the edge of the deck, and stepped off. It walked across the scale, through the perimeter, into the darkness beyond the floodlights, and disappeared. My truck's weight immediately dropped to normal. 18,000 pounds empty. No more shadow, no more cold spots, no more tilt. "Where is it going?" I asked. "To find another truck," the scientist said. "Another load. It'll keep traveling, keep hiding in cargo until someone else notices the weight discrepancy." I quit long haul the next day. Got a local job, warehouse to warehouse, never more than 50 kilometers from home. But I see the reports online. Drivers posting about T discrepancies, about shadows on their trailers, about police convoys, and I know it's still out there, still traveling, still adding weight that doesn't exist to loads that shouldn't be able to carry it. And sometimes, late at night, I'll see a truck on the highway with a tilt. Left or right doesn't matter, just a slight cant to the trailer, suspension compressed on one side. And I'll know that shadow found another driver, another load, another person who made the mistake of noticing what they weren't supposed to notice. The weight is still out there, traveling, waiting, growing. Story 5, The Voice in the Sleeper. I was 30 miles into a 10-hour drive when someone in my sleeper berth said, "You're going the wrong way." And I'd been alone since leaving Calgary 8 hours earlier, which meant whoever was talking had been behind my curtain the entire time, waiting, listening, breathing 3 feet from my driver's seat while I'd been completely unaware. Jennifer Park, 28 years old. 4 years in long haul, mostly western routes through Alberta and British Columbia. I ran solo, no team drivers, no passengers, no riders. Company policy. Insurance liability. Just me and 70,000 pounds of refrigerated produce traveling through the December darkness toward Vancouver. "Hello," I said, not turning around. Eyes on the road, hands on the wheel, every muscle locked. "Who's there?" Silence, then, "You missed your turn, 43 kilometers back. You need to go back." The voice was male, mid-range pitch, calm, like we were having a normal conversation about missed exits instead of a home invasion situation at 70 kilometers per hour on a deserted highway. I didn't miss any turn. I'm on Highway 1, exactly where I'm supposed to be. "No, this is the wrong road. This road doesn't go to Vancouver. This road goes somewhere else." I glanced at my GPS. Highway 1, Trans-Canada, solid blue line leading directly to Vancouver. No deviations, no wrong turns, exactly en route. "I'm calling the police," I said, reaching for my phone. "You won't get signal. We're too far now, too far from the real roads, too far into the between places." I checked my phone. No signal, no bars, no emergency calls, just searching, spinning endlessly. "Who are you? How did you get in my truck?" "I've always been in your truck. I've been in every truck on this road. Waiting in the sleeper berths, hiding behind curtains, speaking when the distance gets too great. You drove past the boundary 43 kilometers back. You should have felt it. Most drivers feel it." I tried to remember 43 kilometers back. Had there been anything unusual? A sign? A marker? I'd been tired, running on coffee and adrenaline trying to make my delivery window. The road had been empty, normal, nothing strange. "What boundary?" "The one between here and there, between real and similar. The roads look the same. The signs look the same, but you're not on Highway 1 anymore. You're on the reflection of Highway 1. The version that runs parallel. You're driving through the copy." My headlights illuminated empty highway. 2 lanes, yellow center line, white edge lines, pine trees on both sides. Everything exactly as it should be. Nothing reflected or copied or wrong. "You're insane. I'm pulling over." "Don't pull over, keep driving. If you stop, the road will notice. The road will know you don't belong. It'll open underneath you. It'll swallow your truck. It'll digest you over decades. Keep driving." I should have pulled over anyway. Should have stopped and confronted whoever was behind my curtain. But something in his voice, the absolute certainty, the lack of threat, the clinical description of being digested by a road, made me hesitate. If I'm on a reflection road, how do I get back? "You can't, not anymore. You pass the boundary. Once you cross, the roads don't reconnect. They diverge. One road leads to Vancouver. This road leads to nowhere, just keeps going. Forever, same scenery, same highway, same signs, but no destination, never any destination." "That's impossible." "You'll see. Watch your odometer." I looked 247,964 kilometers. My truck had that mileage. I'd checked it at the start of this trip. Nothing unusual. "Keep watching," the voice said. I watched. The numbers rolled forward normally. 247,965, 247,966, 247,967, but the landscape wasn't changing. Same trees, same curve radius, same telephone poles spaced at identical intervals. 5 kilometers of identical geography. It's just a straight section, I said. Lots of highways have repetitive stretches. Look at your GPS. My GPS showed me stationary, not moving, parked at a location 43 kilometers back, right at the spot where I'd allegedly crossed the boundary. But I was clearly driving, engine running, speedometer reading 70 kph, landscape scrolling past my windows. The GPS doesn't work here, the voice explained. It's still tracking you on the real high. GHway 1, but you left that road. You're driving on the copy now. The GPS can't follow. It doesn't know the copy exists. I tried my CB radio. This is Frozen Queen 7 to any station. I need assistance. Highway 1 westbound, my GPS is malfunctioning. Can anyone confirm my location? Over. Static, pure white noise with no variation. No breakthrough signals, nothing. There's no one else here, the voice said. Just you and me, and the road that never ends. How did you get here? If I crossed accidentally, did you cross too? Silence long enough that I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I was a driver long time ago. December 1989, 36 years old, hauling lumber to Vancouver, missed my turn, didn't realize it, kept driving. The road never ended, fuel never ran out. I'm still driving, still here, still trying to find the exit. You've been here for 36 years. No, I've been here forever. Time doesn't pass here, it's always the same moment. Same night, same kilometer, you'll understand soon. You'll keep driving and days will pass on your clock, but the sun will never rise. It's always night here, always December, always cold. I checked my dashboard clock, 11:47 p.m. I'd left Calgary at 3:00 p.m., 8 hours and 47 minutes ago. The math worked. But the sky hadn't changed at all, still the same deep darkness. Same star positions, same moon phase, except there was no moon. I realized I hadn't seen the moon since crossing the boundary. How many others are here? I asked. I don't know, I'm in your truck. Someone else is in the truck ahead of you. Someone else is in the truck behind you. We're all driving the same road, always separated by distance we can never close. I've been trying to catch up to the truck ahead for 36 years. I never get closer. Truck ahead. I looked through my windshield, empty road, no taillights, no vehicles. You can't see it. Different phase, different layer, but it's there. And behind you, someone's following, never catching up, always the same distance away. I checked my mirrors, empty. Just my own trailer, my own taillights reflecting red. How do I get out? My voice was shaking now, terror finally catching up to confusion. You don't, that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is it. This is where we are now. This is where we'll always be, driving through December, hauling cargo that never gets delivered, running on fuel that never depletes, aging without time passing. There has to be an exit. Every road has an exit. Not this one. This is the road between roads, the space that connects destinations without being a destination itself. You know how maps show highways as lines, clean, simple lines connecting cities, but the actual highways are complex, curves and grades and textures. This is that complexity, the infinite detail that gets simplified on maps. We're driving through the detail, through the part that doesn't get represented, through the space between the abstraction and the reality. My fuel gauge read 3/4 full. It had read 3/4 full for the last hour. I'd been running at 70 kph, moderate load, moderate consumption. I should have dropped to 5/8 by now. But it was stuck. 3/4 exactly. Your gauge will never move. the voice confirmed. Food in your cab will never spoil, you'll never need to sleep. Your body will maintain exactly the state it's in right now. Forever, this is stasis. This is the preserved moment. No, no, fuck this, I'm turning around. I braked hard. The truck slowed, air brakes hissing, trailer weight pushing against the cab. I came to a complete stop in the middle of Highway 1. I told you not to stop, the voice said, and now there was fear in it, real fear. The road will notice, please, please start moving. The pavement underneath my tires began to soften. I felt it through the frame, the solid asphalt turning to something with give, with viscosity. My truck started sinking. Slowly, centimeter by centimeter. The tires disappeared into the road's surface, which was now the consistency of tar, black and thick and hungry. Drive, the voice screamed. I threw it into gear and accelerated. The tires spun, found traction in the layers beneath the soft surface, and pulled. The truck lurched forward, dragging itself out of the sinking spot, pavement solidifying again as I gained speed. Don't stop, the voice repeated, quieter now. Never stop. Movement is the only rule. As long as you're driving, the road tolerates you. But stop and it knows you're foreign, knows you don't belong, tries to absorb you. I drove 70 kph, hands shaking, sweat freezing on my face despite the cab heat. Can I see you? I asked. Can you come forward? No, I'm not really here. I'm in my truck, my sleeper berth. 36 years ago and now and forever. You're hearing me because the boundaries are thin, because all the trucks on this road are connected. We're all driving. The same nowhere together, but we can't touch, can't meet, can only talk. What's your name? David Reeves from Winnipeg. I had a wife, Claire, 2 kids, Marcus and Emily. They'd be in their 40s now, if time passed, if I'd made it home. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just drive, and maybe talk to me. I haven't spoken to anyone in 3 decades. The isolation is worse than the road. The silence is worse than the eternity. So I drove, and David Reeves talked, told me about his life, his family, his last meal before entering the Copy Road, ham sandwich, chips, coffee, same as always. Told me about the first year of driving when he still believed he'd find an exit. The second year when he accepted he wouldn't. The 5th year when he forgot what Claire's voice sounded like. The 10th year when he forgot his kids' faces. The 20th year when he forgot his own name and had to actively remind himself. Repeat it constantly. David Reeves, David Reeves, David Reeves, to avoid dissolving into the road entirely. We drove for hours. My clock advanced, midnight 1 a.m., 2 a.m., but the darkness never changed. The road never changed. Same trees, same pavement, same yellow line. New trucks enter sometimes, David said. Every few decades, someone else misses their turn, someone else crosses the boundary, and I hear their voice, and I talk to them, and we drive together until they can't hear me anymore. What happens when I can't hear you? You'll be in a different layer, a different phase, still on the Copy Road, but isolated. Alone, no voices, just driving. That's the final stage. Complete solitude. I'm close to it now. You're the first person I've been able to talk to in 9 years. Soon I'll phase completely out and I'll be alone forever. How do I stop that? You can't. It's the progression. Contact, voices, solitude, dissolution. Everyone moves through the stages. Eventually, you become part of the road. Your consciousness merges with the pavement. You stop being David Reeves or Jennifer Park and start being kilometer 4,736 or mile marker 2,941. You become the road itself. My headlights caught something ahead. A truck, parked on the shoulder, lights off, no movement. Someone stopped, I said. Don't look at it, don't slow down. That's a stage four, someone who stopped and got absorbed. The road is wearing their truck like a shell, using it as bait. If you stop to help, you'll sink too. I passed the truck. It was a Freightliner older model covered in rust and decay that shouldn't have been possible in the preserved moment of the copy road. The cab door was open. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat. A figure, humanoid but wrong, made of asphalt and paint and road debris. It turned its head to watch me pass, and I saw its face was a mile marker sign, white numbers on green background where eyes and mouth should have been. That was a person once, David said. Now it's a lure. The road creates them, uses absorbed drivers as templates, don't stop for anything. More trucks appeared. Dozens, all parked, all open, all occupied by road figures that tracked my movement with mile marker faces. Some were reaching out toward my truck, some were standing beside their vehicles, some had merged completely, half human, half asphalt, caught mid-transformation. This is the absorption zone, David said. We all end up here eventually. Our trucks park, we step out, the road takes us. But first we have to want to stop, have to choose it. The road can't force you. It can only make you tired enough, lonely enough, desperate enough that stopping feels like relief. How long have you been driving without rest? 36 years. You'll drive forever too. And eventually you'll want to stop, want to rest, want to join the others. And when that moment comes, you'll pull over and the road will finally have you. My eyelids were heavy. I'd been awake for 24 hours before entering the copy road. The preserved moment didn't erase existing fatigue. I was exhausted. Every kilometer took more effort, more concentration. My vision blurred. Stay awake, David urged. I know you're tired, we're all tired, but sleep here means stopping, and stopping means absorption. I can't drive forever. You can, you have to. There's no other choice. But I was so tired. The road was straight. The truck could practically drive itself, maybe just a moment of rest, eyes closed for just a second, just 1 second. I started drifting. David screamed, "Jennifer, stay awake." I snapped back. The truck had drifted into the left lane, nearly off the road entirely. I corrected, heart hammering. "Thank you," I whispered. "I won't always be here. My voice is fading. Another few hours and you won't hear me anymore. You'll be alone. You need to prepare for that." How? Talk to yourself. Constant narration. Describe what you see. Count telephone poles. Recite memories. Anything to maintain consciousness. Anything to stay active. The moment you Oh, silent, the moment you stop thinking. The road starts to take you even while you're moving. So I talked, described the trees, pine, spruce, uniform spacing. Counted poles, 1, 2, 3, lost count at 300, started over. Recited my life, born in Toronto, moved west at 22, became a driver at 24, first solo run at 25. Sang songs, badly, off-key, didn't matter. Calculated distances, 70 kph times 1 hour times infinity equals forever. David's voice grew quieter, more distant, like he was moving away even though neither of us was changing position. "Jennifer," he said, barely audible. "I'm here. I can't hear you anymore. You're phasing, I'm phasing, this is goodbye." "Wait, don't go, I don't want to be alone." But he was gone. His voice disappeared mid-sentence, and I was alone in my cab with 70,000 pounds of produce that would never spoil, driving through December that would never end, on a road that had no destination. I drove. Hours, days, my clock said time was passing, but the darkness never changed. I talked to myself, narrated everything, kept my mind active, fought the exhaustion that never quite took me but never quite released me either. And then I saw her, on the shoulder. A woman standing beside a parked car, waving for help. She looked real, solid, human, not a road figure, not a lure. I slowed. "Don't," I said aloud. "It's bait, it's absorption." But she looked so desperate, so afraid, so real. I stopped. The moment my wheels quit rolling, I knew I'd made a mistake. The pavement softened. My truck began to sink, and the woman approached, walking with a gait that was almost right but slightly wrong, joints bending at angles that didn't quite match human anatomy. "Thank you for stopping," she said, and her voice was my voice. She sounded exactly like me. "I've been waiting so long." She reached my door, put her hand on the handle. Her palm was asphalt. Her fingers were yellow paint. Her face was a mile marker sign showing the number 4736. "You're me from later," I realized. "You're what I become." "Yes, this is your future, your truck parked here, your body merged with the road, your consciousness transformed into bait for the next driver. But first you have to choose it. Do you choose it, Jennifer? Do you want a rest?" I looked at her, at me, at the thing I would become, and I felt the exhaustion, felt the eternity of driving stretching ahead, felt the absolute certainty that I would never escape, never arrive, never rest. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, I want to stop." "Then turn off the engine." My hand moved to the key, began to turn. The engine started to die. And David Reeves' voice, impossibly distant, phased out completely but somehow still reaching me, screamed, "If you stop, you can't warn the others. Jennifer, the next driver, you have to warn the next driver." I turned the key back. The engine roared. I threw the transmission into gear and accelerated. The road figure that wore my future face screamed and lunged, but I was moving, pulling free of the soft pavement, escaping the absorption. She receded in my mirrors, still standing there, still waiting for me to come back. And I understood this was the purpose. The reason voices could sometimes reach between trucks, between layers. We were warning each other. David had warned me, and now I would warn whoever came next. I would drive until I could hear their voice, until I could tell them, "Don't stop, keep moving, warn the next driver." This was the community of the copy road. Drivers separated by distance and time and dimension, connected only by warnings passed forward through the eternity. I'm still driving. It's been hours or days or years. My clock is meaningless now. But sometimes I hear voices, faint whispers from sleeper berths in trucks I can't see, on roads I can't reach. Other drivers entering the copy, other voices to warn, other people who missed their turn and drove into nowhere. And I tell them, "You're going the wrong way. You cross the boundary, keep driving, never stop." And when you hear the next voice, warn them too, pass it forward, keep the chain unbroken. That's all we have here. Warnings, voices, the thin connection between trucks driving parallel eternities. If you're reading this, if you're a driver, watch for the boundary. You'll know it when you cross, the moment when the road becomes too consistent, too perfect, too unchanging. Turn back immediately, don't make my mistake. Because I'm still here, still driving, still waiting to hear the next voice so I can warn them before I phase into complete solitude. And if you hear a voice from your sleeper berth saying, "You're going the wrong way," believe them. Turn around before it's too late. Before you become another voice in another truck, warning another driver who won't listen until they're trapped too. Keep driving, never stop, warn the next driver. That's all we can do. That's all we'll ever do. Lef. Lorvert. Story 6, The Frozen Passenger. The hitchhiker had been frozen solid for 97 miles when his hand finally moved. fingers flexing with sounds like breaking icicles, and wrapped around my gear shift with a grip that radiated cold through the leather and into my bones. Thomas Garrett, 51 years old, 26 years driving the ice road between Yellowknife and Diamond Mines 400 kilometers north. I'd picked up hitchhikers before. Company policy said don't, but human decency said otherwise when it's -53 and someone's stranded. But I'd never picked up someone who was already dead. I found him at kilometer 41, standing beside the road. Not walking, not moving, just standing in the exact posture of someone waiting for a ride. Arms at his sides, face forward, perfectly still. I passed him initially, you don't stop for statues, but something made me check my mirror. He was still standing, hadn't moved, and there was no vehicle nearby, no snowmobile, no explanation for how he'd gotten there. I backed up, rolled down my window. You need a ride. No response. He was covered in frost, face white, eyes open but unseeing. His jacket was rimed with ice. His beard was frozen into sharp crystalline points. "Hey," I shouted, "you okay?" Nothing, he was frozen, completely frozen, dead standing up. Hypothermia victim who died waiting for help that came too late. I grabbed my CB. This is Ice Road 6 to any station. I've got a body at kilometer 41 eastbound. Male appears to be hypothermia. I need assistance. Over. Static, the ice road had spotty radio coverage. I tried my satellite phone. No signal common in severe cold. The batteries died fast. I looked at the frozen man again. I should have left him, should have driven to the next station and reported it. But something felt wrong. The way he was standing, too perfect, too deliberate, like he'd been placed there. I got out, approached him. His eyes tracked me, didn't blink, couldn't blink, frozen solid, but they moved, followed my position. "Can you hear me?" I asked. His mouth didn't open, his jaw didn't move. But I heard a voice from inside him, muffled by ice and frozen tissue. "Help me." I should have run, should have gotten back in my truck and driven away. But I'd been on the ice road for 26 years and I'd seen things, compass anomalies, light pillars that weren't auroras, ice formations that looked like faces. The Arctic does things, shows you things, and sometimes those things need help. I grabbed him. His jacket was ice cold, colder than the ambient temperature, like he was generating cold instead of just absorbing it. I dragged him to my truck. He was rigid, couldn't bend. I had to angle him through the passenger door like moving furniture. Got him seated, seatbelt across his frozen torso, arms stiff at his sides. His eyes tracked me the entire time. I climbed back in the driver's side, started rolling, turned the heat to maximum. "I'm taking you to the mine. They've got medical facilities. Just hang on." The voice from inside him, "Thank you." Kilometer 50, his fingers started twitching. Small movements, ice cracking audibly, frost falling from his knuckles like shedding skin. Kilometer 70, his head turned. Slow, grinding rotation, ice crystals raining from his neck. He was looking at me. "What happened to you?" I asked. "I don't know." His voice was clearer now, less muffled, like the ice was thawing from the inside out. "I was driving, northbound, 2 days ago. Storm came, whiteout conditions. I pulled over, waited, fell asleep, woke up like this." "Where's your vehicle?" "Gone. It was there when I fell asleep. Gone when I woke up, just me standing on the road, frozen, aware, watching trucks pass. None of them stopped. You're the first person who saw me." Kilometer 97. His hand moved to the gear shift, touched it. His fingers were still blue-white, still covered in frost, but they were mobile now, functioning. And where they touched the gear shift, ice formed, spread. My transmission started making grinding noises. "Don't touch anything," I said, pulling his hand away. He looked at his hand, turned it over, examined the frost coating his palm. It's not thawing, it's spreading. I'm not warming up, I'm staying frozen, and everything I touch turns frozen too. I checked the heating vents. Ice was forming inside them. The hot air was freezing mid-flow, crystals accumulating on the dashboard, the windshield, the steering wheel. The cab temperature was dropping despite the heater running full blast. "You need to get out," I said. "I can't. I'll freeze solid again. Out there in the wind, I'll lock up. I need the heat. Need to stay mobile. Just a few more kilometers. Get me to the mine. They can help." But he was wrong. The heat wasn't helping. He was spreading cold, contaminating everything. My mirrors were frosting over. My windows were developing ice on the inside. My breath was cry, stallizing and falling like snow. Kilometer 112. His face started moving, jaw working, lips cracking open, skin splitting, revealing ice underneath, not flesh underneath. Ice. He was made of ice now, solid all the way through. "I'm changing," he said. "Becoming something else. I can feel it. The cold isn't killing me. It's replacing me. I'm not a frozen person anymore. I'm a person-shaped frozen thing." "Well, what does that mean?" "It means I'm hungry." He grabbed my arm. His hand clamped down with impossible strength. Ice spread from his palm across my jacket, through the fabric onto my skin. I felt the cold penetrate, not just surface cold, but deep cold, bone cold, cellular cold. My arm went numb, then white, then crystalline. I jerked away, pulling free, leaving a layer of frozen skin on his palm. My arm was frostbitten instantly. Severe, tissue death, but I could still move it, still function, for now. "Sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to, but I'm so hungry. The cold wants to spread, wants to consume. I can't control it." I grabbed my CB with my good arm, still static. But through the static, I heard breathing. Slow, rhythmic breathing, synchronized with the frozen man's respiration. "Is someone else on this channel?" I asked. The frozen man spoke, but his voice came through the CB speakers. "I'm everywhere now. The cold is transmitting me. I'm in your radio. I'm in your heating system. I'm in the ice forming on your windows. I'm spreading through your truck. Soon I'll be in you. And then I'll be warm again. I'll be alive again. I'll be Thomas Garrett again instead of this frozen thing that remembers being Thomas Garrett." "You're not Thomas Garrett." "I don't know what I am. I woke up with his memories, his name, his face, but I'm made of ice. I think I'm what happens when someone freezes to death on the ice road. When the cold is so extreme, it doesn't just kill you, it preserves you, transforms you, makes you into a vehicle for itself." The ice on my windshield was thick now, obscuring visibility. I was driving blind, relying on memory and feel. My headlights illuminated nothing but white, ice covering the lenses, blocking the beams. "I need you to get out," I said. "I can't. If I leave your truck, I'll freeze completely. Lock solid, become a statue again. I need heat, need life, need to consume something warm to remember what warmth feels like." He reached for me again, both hands this time. I swerved the truck violently, throwing him against the passenger door. His body hit with a sound like shattering glass. Cracks appeared in his torso. Through the cracks, I saw ice, pure ice. No organs, no blood, just crystalline structure all the way through. "Please," he said, cracks spreading across his face. "Please just let me touch you, just for a moment, just enough to remember being human." "You're not human anymore." "I know, but I was. 2 days ago, I was a driver just like you. I had a wife, kids. I was going home after my shift. I was alive. And now I'm this. And I'm so cold. And I just want to feel warm one more time before I become completely frozen forever." His hand reached toward me. Slow, deliberate. Ice spreading from his fingertips into the air itself, crystallizing moisture, leaving trails of frost. I hit the brakes, hard. The truck skidded on the ice road, trailer fishtailing, momentum throwing the frozen man forward into the dashboard. He shattered, literally shattered. His body broke into pieces, torso, arms, head, legs, all separating along the crack lines. Chunks of person-shaped ice scattered across the cab. But they kept moving, each piece independently animated. The head rolled into the passenger footwell, eyes still tracking me. The hand crawled across the seat like a spider. The torso wedged itself between the seats, trying to pull itself toward me. "You can't stop me by breaking me," his voice said from all the pieces simultaneously. "I'm distributed now, spread across fragments. Each piece is me. Each piece wants warmth." I grabbed the hand. It was freezing my seatbelt, turning the fabric into brittle ice, and threw it out my window. It landed on the road and immediately started crawling back toward the truck, fingers digging into ice, pulling itself forward. The head spoke, "That won't work, I'll follow you. Forever, pieces of me tracking you across the ice road, slowly catching up, slowly surrounding you until eventually you'll sleep. And I'll climb back in, and I'll freeze you, and you'll become like me. And we'll stand together beside the road, waiting for the next driver, growing our numbers." How many are theirs? I don't know. I remember being the first, but I also remember being the 7th and the 23rd. And the 59th, we multiply. Each person we freeze becomes another piece, another fragment, another frozen thing waiting for rides. I kicked the torso out my door. It hit the road and rolled, but immediately started inching back, pulling itself with frozen muscles, dragging itself toward warmth. Only the head remained in my cab, rolling in the footwell, eyes staring up. "You'll have to destroy me," it said. "Completely. Scatter my pieces far enough they can't reconvene, otherwise I'll reassemble. Given time, given patience, the fragments will find each other, will merge, will reform." How do I destroy you? Heat, real heat, fire, melt me until there's nothing left, until I'm just water, until the cold can't maintain structure anymore. I pulled over, grabbed my emergency road flares from the storage compartment, struck one, bright red flame, 3,000 degrees. I held it to the frozen head. The ice didn't melt. It absorbed the heat, consumed it. The flame turned blue, then white, then froze solid, a sculpture of fire, perfectly preserved in crystalline form. "You can't melt me," the head said. "I'm colder than fire is hot. I exist at absolute zero. The temperature where molecular motion stops, where heat dies. You could hold me in the sun and I wouldn't thaw." Then what do I do? Drive, leave me here. My pieces will follow, will chase you. But you're faster, you'll stay ahead for a while. Until I accumulate enough mass, until enough drivers stop and pick up enough pieces, until there are too many of us to avoid. I left the head on the road, rolled north, watched in my mirrors as it rocked itself upright, balanced on its neck stump, and started rolling after me like a grotesque ball. Behind it, the hand and torso were also in pursuit, slow but persistent. I drove until I reached the mine, reported what happened. They sent out a team, found nothing. No frozen body parts, no ice sculptures, just clean road, empty tundra. But I still see them. Every time I drive that stretch of the ice road, I see frozen figures standing beside the road. More than before, dozens now, all waiting, all watching, all hoping someone will stop. And sometimes I hear the CB crackle with a voice that sounds like mine, sounds like every driver's voice saying, "Help me, I'm frozen, please stop." I don't stop anymore, ever, even when the figure looks human, even when they're waving frantically. even when they look like they're alive and desperate and savable. Because they're not. They're ice. They're cold given form. They're the Arctic's way of spreading itself, of converting warmth into frozen stillness. And if you drive the ice road, if you see someone standing alone in the cold, don't stop. Just drive. Keep the heat running. Keep moving. Because the frozen are patient. And they're very, very hungry for warmth. Story 7, The Load That Screamed. The cargo started screaming at mile marker 212, a sound like metal tearing and animals dying simultaneously. And my manifest said I was hauling machine parts, industrial engine components, non-perishable, definitely not capable of vocalization. But the screaming suggested my manifest was wrong or incomplete or a deliberate lie. Angela Morrison, 36, 10 years in specialized transport, mostly industrial equipment and machinery. I ran odd jobs, weird cargo, things that required custom permits and non-disclosure agreements. Good money, strange clientele, questions discouraged. This load picked up from an unmarked warehouse outside Whitehorse. Destination, research facility near Tuktoyaktuk. Payment, $18,000 for a 700-kilometer run, 3 times normal rate. The catch, cargo container sealed, not to be opened under any circumstances, delivery within 24 hours. I'd signed the NDA, taken the money, loaded the container onto my flatbed without looking inside. Standard protocol for classified cargo could be military components, could be mining equipment, could be anything, not my business. Until it started screaming. I pulled over immediately, grabbed my flashlight, walked around the container. Standard 20-foot shipping container, steel, no windows, padlocked with a heavy-duty lock I didn't have keys for. The screaming was coming from inside, muffled by the walls but definitely emanating from the cargo. I called my dispatcher. What exactly am I carrying? Machine parts, engine components. Why? Because it's making noise, screaming. Silence, then, hold on. More silence. Then a different voice. Ms. Morrison, this is Supervisor Kelvin. Ignore any sounds from the cargo, it's normal. How is screaming normal for machine parts? The components have acoustic properties, vibration harmonics. When they shift during transport, they can produce sounds. It's not biological, it's mechanical resonance. Continue to destination. It sounds biological. It sounds like something alive. It's not, I assure you. Continue delivery. Do not open the container. Do not deviate from route. Your payment depends on compliance. He hung up. The screaming continued. Not constant, it came in waves. 30 seconds of sound, then silence, then another burst. And the sounds varied, sometimes high-pitched, sometimes low. W and grinding. Sometimes it sounded like words, syllables, almost like language. I got back in my truck and drove. What else could I do? I'd signed a contract, taken payment, agreed to no questions. This was the job. Mile marker 245. The screaming formed words, clear words. Let me out. I grabbed my CB. This is Wolverine 3 to any station. I need advice. My cargo is talking, requesting release. What's the protocol for this? Over. Static, then a trucker's voice. Cargo doesn't talk, Wolverine 3. You feeling okay? Over. I know how it sounds, but I'm hearing actual words from inside a sealed container. Let me out. Clear as day. Over. What are you hauling? Over. I don't know, classified cargo, NDA, but it's screaming and talking, and I'm starting to think it's not machine parts. Over. Jesus, okay, pull over, call the police, don't open it yourself. Could be human trafficking, could be anything, get authorities, over. He was right, I should have called immediately, but $18,000. And the NDA had specific penalties for unauthorized disclosure. Criminal penalties. I'd go to jail just for making the call. I drove. Mile marker 280. The container started rocking, visible movement. Something inside was throwing itself against the walls. Dents appeared in the steel, outward dents, like something was punching from the inside, hard, repeatedly. My trailer suspension groaned. The whole rig swayed. Whatever was in there was strong, unnaturally strong. Each impact made my truck shudder. "Let me out," the voice screamed, and now it was angry, furious. The words came with impacts. Let, boom, me, boom, out, boom. The container's side panel buckled. A bulge appeared, metal stressed to failure. Another impact and the bulge widened. I could see cracks forming. I stopped, grabbed my phone, started to dial 911. The screaming stopped, complete silence. I waited, nothing, no sound, no movement, just my engine idling and wind across the tundra. "Hello," I called toward the container. A voice, calm now, spoke from inside. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I've been trapped in here for 3 days, no food, no water. They're transporting me to a facility for experiments. I'm not supposed to be here. I was kidnapped. Please, please let me out." It sounded human. Male, mid-20s, terrified but trying to stay calm. Exactly how a kidnap victim would sound. "Who are you?" I asked. "My name is Peter Renault. I'm a graduate student from McGill University. I was researching in Whitehorse. They took me from my hotel, drugged me, put me in this container. I don't know who they are, I don't know why, I just know I'm being transported against my will. You're my only chance, please." Why would someone kidnap a graduate student? I don't know, maybe my research. I study extremophile organisms, bacteria that survive in extreme cold. Maybe I found something they wanted. Maybe I'm valuable. I don't know. Please just let me out. I promise I won't cause problems. I just want to go home. I should have opened it, should have verified. A human being was allegedly trapped in there. But something felt wrong. The dents in the container, they were massive, strength beyond human capacity. And the NDA had been very clear, do not open under any circumstances. "I'm calling the police," I said. "They'll sort this out." No, the scream was back. Inhuman, too loud, too resonant. "If you call police, they'll kill me. They're connected. They'll make me disappear. You're the only one who can help. Open the container." The impacts resumed, harder, faster. The side panel tore open. A 6-inch gap appeared, darkness inside, and something moving, something pale, something that pressed against the gap, trying to widen it. I saw fingers, too long, too many joints. Skin white like frost, nails black like frostbite. They gripped the torn metal and pulled. The gap widened to 12 inches. An eye appeared in the gap, human-sized, human-shaped, but the iris was crystalline, faceted like a diamond, reflecting my flashlight in 100 directions. "Let me out," it whispered. "I'm so hungry, 3 days without feeding. I need warmth, need heat, need the thermal energy of living tissue. Let me out and I'll be quick. I promise it won't hurt long." Not human, not even close. I ran to my cab, slammed the door, locked it, started driving. The container rocked violently. The thing inside was tearing at the gap, widening it, squeezing itself through. My CB crackled, not static, voice, multiple voices, all speaking simultaneously. "Let us out, let us out, let us out, let us out." I switched channels, same voices, switched again, same, every channel, every frequency, all speaking in unison. "What are you?" I screamed. The voices unified into one. "We are the specimens, the collected, the studied, 47 individuals from different locations, different climates, different ecosystems, all extremophiles, all adapted to survive impose. Civil conditions, they gathered us, put us together in this container to see what would happen, to see if we would merge, and we did. We became one, we became collective, we became hungry. The gap was 2 feet wide now, something squeezed through, head first. The head was humanoid but proportioned wrong, elongated, skull too large, jaw unhinged, filled with teeth that looked like ice crystals. It smiled at me through my trailer. "Thank you for the transportation, Angela Morrison. You've brought us closer to population centers, closer to warmth, closer to food. When we arrive at the facility, we'll escape, we'll spread. Each human we consume adds their biology to our collective. We'll adapt, evolve, become unstoppable." I grabbed my CB. "Emergency, this is Wolverine 3. I'm transporting something dangerous, something alive, something that's breaking containment. I'm northbound on Dempster Highway, mile marker 283. I need immediate assistance. Military, police, anyone." No response. The voices had taken over every channel. Just, "Let us out, let us out, let us out," repeating endlessly. The thing was halfway out of the container now. Torso emerging, arms too long, skin translucent. I could see organs inside, multiple hearts, lungs arranged in clusters, digestive systems that looked like coral reefs. I made a decision, jerked the wheel hard right, drove off the highway, onto the tundra. The truck bounced over rough terrain. The thing fell, body dangling half out of the container, scrambling for grip. I accelerated, 50 kph, 60, 70. The truck wasn't designed for off-road, but I pushed it. Ahead, a ravine, steep drop, maybe 40 feet to the bottom. I aimed straight for it. At the last second, I released my seatbelt, opened my door, and jumped. I hit the tundra hard, rolled, felt ribs crack, felt skin tear, but I was out. The truck kept going, drove straight off the ravine, fell. The container and the thing inside screaming all the way down. Impact at the bottom, explosion, fuel igniting. Fire consuming the truck, the container, the thing. I heard it screaming. Dozens of voices, all burning, all dying, all merging into one final sound that echoed across the tundra and then went silent. I lay in the snow, broken, bleeding, freezing, but alive. A helicopter arrived 2 hours later. Not police, not ambulance, unmarked. Men in hazmat suits extracted me, loaded me onto the helicopter, didn't speak. I woke in a hospital, private room. No visitors. A man in a suit sat beside my bed. "Ms. Morrison, you've caused us a significant problem." I destroyed it, the thing. It was going to escape. Yes, and that specimen was worth $40 million. 15 years of research. Biological data that can't be replicated. Gone because you panicked. It was going to escape and kill people. No, it was contained. The container was designed to handle exactly the scenario you experienced. Reinforced inner walls. Sedation gas system. You didn't know because you violated protocol. You engaged with the specimen, responded to its vocalizations, allowed it to manipulate you. It was breaking out. It was testing boundaries, that's what it does. But it couldn't actually breach containment, not without help, not without someone opening the locks from outside, which you almost did. I stared at him. "You're saying this was a test." "Everything's a test, and you failed. But you also showed initiative, resourcefulness, willingness to sacrifice assets to prevent breach. These are valuable traits. We'd like to offer you another contract." Fuck you." He smiled. Understandable, but the pay is substantial and you're already implicated. You signed an NDA, you know about the program, you're either an asset or a liability. Assets get paid, liabilities get contained. He left a folder on my bedside table. Contract. Payment $50,000 per run. Cargo unspecified biological specimens. Destination classified facilities. NDA comprehensive. I signed it. What choice did I have? I've made 7 more runs since then. Different cargo each time. Things that scream, things that whisper, things that promise freedom if I just open the locks. Things that threaten, things that beg, things that explain in perfect detail what they'll do to me if I release them. I never open the containers, I never engage, I never listen. But I hear them every trip, every mile cargo that screams. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder if the man in the suit was lying. Wonder if the thing really could have breached containment. Wonder if I destroyed it or just transported it exactly where it needed to go. Wonder if all my deliveries are really containment or really dispersal. Wonder if I'm preventing outbreaks or causing them. But I keep driving, keep delivering, keep cashing the checks. Because I'm already implicated, already part of the program, already complicit. And the cargo keeps screaming. And I keep pretending I don't hear. Story 8, the rest S. Top that repeated. I've stopped at the Coldwater Creek rest area 47 times in the last 6 hours. And each time the parking lot has one more truck than the previous visit. And each additional truck contains a version of me that entered earlier and never left. And I can see all 46 previous versions through their windshields, staring back at me with expressions progressing from confusion to terror to resignation. Samuel Torres, 44 years old, 15 years driving the Dalton Highway in Alaska, the most isolated road in North America. 414 miles of ice and darkness between Fairbanks and Deadhorse. Minimal services, minimal contact, maximum self-reliance. The Coldwater Creek rest area was at mile marker 197. Basic facilities, parking, restrooms, covered picnic area, normally deserted this time of year. December meant darkness, cold, and empty roads. I stopped because I needed to check my load, drilling supplies for Prudhoe Bay, 62,000 pounds that had been shifting since the last major grade. I pulled in at 11:34 p.m. according to my dashboard clock, parked in spot 7. One other truck in the lot, a Peterbilt, older model, no lights on. I checked my cargo, everything secure, straps tight, nothing wrong, back in the cab within 10 minutes, ready to roll. Except when I pulled out of the rest area and back onto the Dalton Highway, my GPS immediately rerouted me. Take next exit to Coldwater Creek rest area. I looked ahead. There, 500 meters up the road, the Coldwater Creek rest area, the same rest area, same entrance, same sign illuminated by my headlights. I checked my odometer. I'd driven 0.3 kilometers, not enough distance to reach another rest area, but there it was. GPS is glitching, I muttered and drove past the entrance. 500 meters later, Coldwater Creek rest area. Again, same entrance, same sign, same distance. I pulled over, studied my GPS. It showed me on the Dalton Highway mile marker 197 directly beside Coldwater Creek rest area. I looked behind me. No rest area. I looked ahead. Rest area entrance 500 meters up the road. I drove forward slowly. Watched my odometer, 0.1 kilometers, 0.2, 0.3, rest area entrance reached, past it. Continued forward. .4 kilometers, the rest area appeared ahead. Another 500 meters, same entrance, same sign. I was looping, stuck in a 500-meter section of highway that kept regenerating the rest area no matter how many times I passed it. I grabbed my CB. This is polar bear to any station. I'm experiencing weird GPS and geographic issues at Coldwater Creek Rest Area. Anyone else on this stretch? Over. Static, but through the static I heard breathing. My own breathing, synced perfectly with my respiration, like the CB was picking up audio from my cab and playing it back. I tried my phone, no signal, common on the Dalton, but I'd had 2 bars at the rest area 10 minutes ago. Now, nothing. Fuck it, I said, and pulled into the rest area. Parked in spot 7 again, it was the most level spot. 2 trucks in the lot now, the Peterbilt I'd seen before, and another truck. Same make and model as mine, same company logos, same license plate, my truck, parked in spot 7. I was already here. I got out, approached the other truck, looked in the driver's window. Someone was in the cab, staring at a GPS, muttering, looking confused. He had my face, my jacket, my build, me. I knocked on the window. He jumped, turned, stared at me. His expression cycled through confusion, shock, horror. He rolled down the window. "Who are you?" we said simultaneously. We stared at each other, perfect mirrors, same scars on our hands from the same accident in 2017, same crooked front tooth from the same hockey injury in high school, same everything. "I'm Samuel Torres," we said simultaneously. "Stop that," I said. "Stop that," he said. We both stopped talking, stared. I tried to find differences. Some detail that proved this was a trick, a twin, a coincidence, but there was nothing. He was me, exactly me. "How long have you been here?" I asked. 10 minutes, he said. "I pulled in to check my load, drove out, ended up back here. Now there's 2 of my truck. How long have you been here?" 20 minutes. I stopped once before you." "So you're me from 10 minutes ago." "No, you're me from 10 minutes ago. I'm the original." "We're both the original. We both remember being the original." He was right. I had complete continuous memory. I'd driven from Fairbanks, stopped at Coldwater Creek, left, looped, returned, found myself. No gaps, no discontinuity. "What's happening?" we both asked. A 3rd truck pulled into the rest area. Same make, same model, same everything, parked in spot 7. A 3rd version of me got out, looked at us. His expression cycled through the same progression, confusion, shock, horror. "What the fuck?" he said. "Welcome to Coldwater Creek," I said. "You're the 3rd Samuel Torres to arrive." "4th," the 2nd version corrected. "The guy in the Peterbilt is probably the 1st." We approached the Peterbilt together, 3 identical men walking in formation. The driver was slumped over the wheel. I knocked on the window, no response. I tried the door, unlocked, opened it. The driver fell sideways, dead, eyes open, skin gray, frozen solid. "How long has he been here?" 3rd Samuel asked. I checked the cab, logbook on the passenger seat. Last entry, December 3rd, 2023, 2 weeks ago. "This is him," 2nd Samuel said. "This is us, 2 weeks from now, dead, frozen, still looping." "We need to get out," 1st Samuel, me the original me, the me who'd been here longest, said. "We need to break the loop." We tried everything. Drove in different directions, north, south, didn't matter. Always looped back to the rest area, drove at different speeds. Same result. Tried driving in reverse. Ended up at the rest area backward. Tried driving off-road. The tundra itself looped. 500 meters of terrain regenerating endlessly. Every attempt took 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, another truck pulled in. Another Samuel Tours joined the collection. By hour 3, there were 18 of us. 18 identical trucks in a parking lot designed for 12. We had to stack them, park bumper to bumper, create rows. We held a meeting. 18 versions of myself sitting in the picnic area discussing escape strategies. "We're in a time loop," Samuel 7 suggested. "We need to break the causal chain." "It's not time," Samuel 12 countered. "Time is passing normally. It's space that's looping, geographic recursion." "Maybe we're dead," Samuel 3 said quietly. "Maybe that guy in the Peterbilt is the real us. We're all just ghosts or echoes or something, replaying the same loop forever." "We're not dead," I said. I was still calling myself the original, though that distinction was meaningless now. "We're breathing, we're thinking, we're real." "Are we?" Samuel 15 asked. He held up his hand, bit his finger, drew blood. "I bleed, but am I actually here, or am I a simulation, a memory loop running in the original's dying brain?" We couldn't answer that. Hour 6, 47 Samuel Taurises. The parking lot was full, trucks everywhere. We started parking on the grass, in the road, anywhere with space. 47 identical men. 47 identical trucks, all trapped in the same 500-meter loop. The later versions were changing. Samuel 32 had frost on his jacket that wouldn't melt. Samuel 38's breath was visible even inside his heated cab. Samuel 43 was shivering uncontrollably, hypothermic despite warm clothing and shelter. "We're degrading," Samuel 20 noticed. "Each iteration is slightly worse, slightly colder. We're approaching the state of the Peterbilt driver. Eventually, we'll all be frozen corpses. And then what? Does the loop continue? Do new versions keep arriving and dying?" I, the original, the first, the version who'd been here longest, was feeling it too. Cold settling into my bones, fatigue, my thoughts slowing. I checked my body temperature with my first aid kit thermometer, 34 degrees Celsius, hypothermic despite sitting in a heated cab. "The rest area is draining us," Samuel 8 realized. "It's not just looping space, it's extracting heat, energy, life. Each version is colder because the rest area has taken more from the system." "Then we stop coming," Samuel 19 said. "The next version that arrives, we tell them not to enter, stay on the highway, don't pull in. Break the loop by refusing to participate." Samuel 47 was due in 4 minutes. We all gathered at the rest area entrance. 46 versions of Samuel Tours standing in formation, waiting for ourselves to arrive. Headlights appeared, a truck, our truck. Same make, model, license plate. It slowed at the entrance, started to turn in. We waved frantically. "Don't enter," we screamed. "Keep driving, don't stop." The truck stopped. 47th Samuel rolled down his window. "What's going on? Why are there so many of you?" "This place loops," I shouted. "If you enter, you'll never leave, you'll join us, stay on the highway." He looked at us, 46 identical versions of himself, looked at the rest area, looked at the highway ahead, made his choice. He pulled in, parked in the last available spot, got out, joined us. "I had to know," he said. "I had to see if you were real." And the loop continued. Samuel 48 arrived, 49, 50. We stopped trying to warn them. They never listened. They always pulled in, always joined, always added to the count. By hour 12, we stopped counting. There were too many, hundreds of trucks, thousands. The rest area had expanded to accommodate them. The parking lot stretched to the horizon in all directions, an infinite parking lot filled with infinite versions of Samuel Tours. And we were all freezing, all degrading, all approaching the frozen state of the Peterbilt driver. I found him again, the original frozen driver, checked his logbook more carefully. Found a note on the back page. To whoever finds this, I'm Samuel Torres. I've been looping in Coldwater Creek rest area for 2 weeks. There are thousands of me now. I'm the first, the original. I'm writing this before I freeze completely. If you're reading this, you're probably me too. Another iteration, another loop. I'm sorry, I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to escape. The rest area is hungry. It eats travelers, creates copies, drains them, feeds on the cold. We're all food, we're all fuel. We're all just energy sources for something that exists between mile markers in the spaces between destinations. Drive careful, don't stop at Coldwater Creek. But if you do, if you're reading this, welcome. You're me now, you've always been me. And you'll always be me. Forever. Looping, freezing, joining the collection, I'm sorry. The handwriting was mine, unmistakable. I checked the date again. December 3rd, 2023, 2 weeks ago. Today was December 17th, 2023. I'd been looping for 2 weeks. Not 6 hours, 2 weeks. But I only remembered 6 hours because the loop reset memory, reset experience, made each version believe they were the first, the original, the real Samuel Torres. How many of me had already frozen? How many corpses were in these trucks? I started checking. Most were empty, the versions still walking around, still trying to escape. But some contained bodies, frozen versions, dead versions, versions that had given up or degraded past survival threshold. I found one that looked recent, still flexible, not fully frozen. I checked his pockets, found a note. To myself, you've been here for 3 days. This is day 3 Samuel Torres. You're probably day 6 or day 7 Samuel Torres if you're reading this. The loop makes you think you just arrived. You didn't. You've been here for days. Check the date. Check your body temperature. Check how many of us there are. We're up to 4,000 now. 4,000 versions. And we're all dying, all freezing. The rest area is winning. I'm writing this before I freeze completely. If you find this, add your own note. Track the progression. Maybe one of us will eventually understand what's happening. I pulled out my own logbook. Wrote, Day 14 Samuel Torres. There are too many of us to count now. Tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. The rest area is infinite. We're infinite. All versions of one driver who made the mistake of stopping. All food for whatever entity runs this place. I'm cold. So cold, I don't think I'll last another day. To future versions, I'm sorry. I couldn't solve it, couldn't escape. Couldn't break the loop. Maybe you'll figure it out. Maybe you're smarter. Maybe you're luckier, but probably not. Probably you'll write your own note, add your own entry. Join the collection of frozen Samuel Torreses who all thought they were special, all thought they were the one who'd escape. We're not special. We're fuel. We're fodder. We're victims. Good luck. You'll need it. I put the logbook back in my truck, sat in the driver's seat, turned on the heat, but the heat didn't help. The cold was inside me now, cellular, molecular. My body temperature had dropped to 31 degrees. My fingers were blue. My thoughts were fragmenting. Through my windshield, I watched another truck pull in. Another me. He looked around, saw the infinite parking lot, saw the thousands of identical trucks, saw the versions of himself standing around, frozen and dying. His expression cycled through confusion, shock, horror. Welcome, I thought. Welcome to Coldwater Creek. Welcome to the loop. Welcome to the rest area that never lets you rest. He'd try to escape. They all did. He'd loop for hours, thinking he was making progress, thinking he was different. Then he'd realize, then he'd write his own note, then he'd freeze. Just like I was freezing. Just like all of us were freezing. I closed my eyes, let the cold take me, let the loop continue, let the rest area feed. Somewhere another Samuel Torres was pulling onto the Dalton Highway, beginning the drive that would inevitably lead here. To mile marker 197, to Coldwater Creek, to the rest area that repeats. And I knew, with the last conscious thought before freezing completely, that the loop would never end. The rest area would always be hungry. And there would always be another driver who needed to stop. Always another version. Always another Samuel Tours. Forever. Story 9, The Mirror Convoy. Every truck in my mirrors was identical to mine, and every driver had my face, and we'd been driving in perfect formation for 73 miles, maintaining exactly 100 meters separation, and when I tried to slow down. They slowed down, and when I tried to speed up, they accelerated to match, and none of them had been there when I'd started this trip, but now I couldn't remember a time when they weren't behind me. Catherine Wells, 31, 6 years running freight across northern Canada. Tonight's route, Fort McMurray to Yellowknife, solo night run, standard cargo, construction materials, nothing unusual. I first noticed them around kilometer 40. Headlights in my mirror. Not unusual, the Mackenzie Highway gets traffic even at 2 a.m. But these headlights stayed exactly the same distance. Never closer, never farther, perfectly consistent. I slowed from 90 kph to 80. The headlights maintained distance. Slowed to 70, same, 60, same. They were matching my speed exactly. I grabbed my CB. This is Midnight Runner to southbound traffic. You've been following pretty close. Want to pass? Over. No response, but the headlights remained, same distance, same brightness. I turned on my flashers, the universal signal for something's wrong. The headlights behind me turned on their flashers too, same rhythm, same pattern, perfect synchronization. I felt uneasy. Checked my side mirrors, more headlights, ahead of me now, another truck, same distance, 100 meters. It was ahead of me, but I hadn't passed anyone. Hadn't seen anyone pull out. It had just appeared. I checked my passenger mirror. Another truck beside me, parallel, running in the adjacent lane, same speed, same position. I hadn't heard it pull alongside. "What the fuck?" I muttered. Within a minute, there were 6 trucks. Front, back, both sides, both mirrors, all identical positions, all maintaining perfect formation, all with the same headlight patterns, all the same make and model as my truck. I turned on my cab light, looked at the truck beside me, saw the driver, female, my age, my build, my face, exactly my face. She turned her cab light on too, looked at me. Same expression, same posture, same horror of recognition. We were watching each other through our respective windows, and I couldn't tell if she was me or I was her, or if both designations were meaningless, because we were both somehow the same person in different vehicles. I grabbed my CB again. This is Midnight Runner to surrounding convoy. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who you are, but this is fucking terrifying. Over. All 6 trucks responded simultaneously. This is Midnight Runner to surrounding convoy. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who you are, but this is fucking terrifying. Over. Same voice, my voice, coming from 6 different sources, perfect unison. I tried my phone, pulled up the camera app, held it up to take a picture of the truck beside me. Through the phone screen, the truck looked normal. Different driver. Male, older, not me, but when I looked directly with my eyes, my face, female, me. The phone was showing reality. My eyes were showing something else. I put the phone down. The male driver in the camera app put his phone down. Our movements synchronized. But when I looked directly, I saw myself putting down a phone. "Okay," I said aloud. "Okay, this is a hallucination. I'm tired. I'm seeing things. I need to pull over." All 6 trucks turned on their turn signals simultaneously, all preparing to pull over. I canceled my turn signal. They canceled theirs. I was controlling them, or they were controlling me. Or there was no distinction because we were all the same vehicle, the same driver, existing in multiple parallel positions. I tried to break formation, jerked my wheel to the left, crossing into the oncoming lane. The truck that had been in front swung left too, perfectly matched. The truck beside me shifted position. We were all moving in coordinated formation, like a dance, like a flock of birds, individual yet collective. I accelerated hard, pushed to 110 kph, 120, 130. The convoy accelerated, maintained distance, maintained formation. I hit the brakes, hard stop. 0 to 90 kph in 3 seconds. The trailer jackknifed slightly. I fought to maintain control. All 6 trucks braked simultaneously. All jackknifed, all fought for control, all succeeded or failed in unison. We stopped in the middle of the highway. All 7 trucks, perfect line, spaced exactly 100 meters apart. I got out, walked to the truck behind me. She got out too, walked toward me. We met in the middle, stood face to face, perfect mirrors. "Are you real?" we asked simultaneously. We reached out, touched hands, solid, warm, real physical contact. "I'm Catherine Wells," we said together. "Stop copying me," I said. "Stop copying me," she said at the same time. We circled each other, both wary, both confused. I tried to find differences. She had a scar on her left hand. So did I. She had a coffee stain on her jacket collar. So did I. She had the same crooked front tooth, same slightly asymmetrical eyebrows, same freckle pattern. "How is this possible?" we asked. The other 4 trucks opened their doors. 4 more versions of me stepped out, all identical, all confused, all looking at each other with the same horror of recognition. "Is this a mirror thing?" one asked. "Are we reflections?" "Reflections move opposite," another said. "We're moving synchronized, we're copies." "Maybe we're quantum states," a third suggested. Multiple versions of the same particle, existing simultaneously until observation collapses the wave function. "That's not how quantum mechanics works," the fourth corrected. "How do you know we're all the same person? We have the same knowledge." We stood in the middle of the highway. 7 identical women, 7 identical trucks, all equally real, all equally confused. "Let's test something," I said, the original me, or the me that felt original. "Let's try to do different things, break the synchronization." I raised my right hand. 3 of them raised their right hands. 3 raised their left hands. 1 didn't raise a hand at all. "It's breaking," the one who didn't raise her hand said. "The connection is weakening. We're becoming individuals." "Or we were always individuals," another said. "And we just looked synchronized because we were making the same choices." "How did we end up here together?" I asked. "Where did you all come from?" "I started in Fort McMurray," one said. "Loaded at 9 p.m., drove north." "Same," said another. "Same," said all of them. So we all started from the same place, same time, same route, but somehow we're all here at the same kilometer at the same moment. "Maybe we're not at the same kilometer," one suggested. She checked her GPS. "I'm at kilometer 478. "I'm at 479, another said. 480, said a third. 481. 482. We were at different positions, but all occupying the same space, different points on the highway overlapping. Reality folded so 7 different locations existed in the same physical position. This is dimensional overlap, one of us said. Multiple parallel highways existing in the same space. We're all driving the same route but in different dimensions. Something caused the boundaries to weaken. Now we can see each other. How do we fix it? We don't. We drive until the dimensions separate again, until we phase back into our respective realities. We agreed, walked back to our respective trucks, got in, started driving. But the formation remained, all 7 trucks moving together, and I started noticing more, behind us, ahead of us, dozens of trucks, all identical, all with drivers who had my face. The convoy was growing. By kilometer 500, there were 30 trucks, all Catherine Wells, all driving identical routes, all phased into overlapping dimensions. By kilometer 600, there were hundreds. The highway was packed, trucks everywhere, all identical, all me, an infinite convoy of myself stretching to the horizon in both directions. This is wrong, I said into my CB. This is multiplicatively wrong. We're not separating, we're accumulating. Agreed, said 300 voices simultaneously. All mine, all slightly out of sync so the echo created a wave of sound. What if we're not the originals? One voice suggested. What if we're the copies? What if there's one real Catherine Wells and we're all just reflections or projections or thoughts? Then who's the original? Maybe none of us. Maybe we're all equally real or equally unreal. The convoy drove through the night, past kilometer 700, 800. The trucks extended infinitely. I couldn't see the end in either direction, just myself, repeated, endless. And then I noticed the changes. The Catherine Wells driving beside me looked tired, more tired than me. Dark circles under her eyes, slumped posture, like she'd been driving for days. The one ahead looked angry, white-knuckle grip on the wheel, jaw clenched, ready to snap. The one behind looked terrified, crying, mascara streaked down her face. We weren't identical anymore. We were variations, different emotional states, different physical conditions, different stages of whatever process was happening. We're diverging, I said into the CB. We're becoming different versions of ourselves. Or we were always different, a voice replied, and we're only now seeing the variations. The tired version's truck started swerving. She was falling asleep, drifting across lanes. I honked my horn, she snapped awake, corrected, but minutes later she drifted again. The angry version accelerated, broke formation, raced ahead, weaving through the convoy trying to escape. I lost sight of her after a minute, but 30 seconds later she was back. Behind me, same position, same formation, like she'd looped around. The terrified version stopped, just stopped in the middle of the highway. Frozen, other trucks swerved to avoid her. Some didn't, collisions, metal on metal, my truck hitting her truck, except I passed through. No impact, just a moment. Of overlap, our trucks occupying the same space simultaneously. I saw inside her cab as I passed through, saw her screaming, saw her hands locked on the wheel, saw her eyes wild with panic. Then I was through, back to clear road. The collision behind me, not my problem. More divergence. Some Catherine Wells versions were laughing, hysterical laughter broadcast on CB. Some were praying, some were silent. Some had abandoned their trucks and were walking. Some had crashed and were burning. Some had vanished completely, trucks empty, doors open, no driver. We're not just diverging emotionally, a voice said. We're diverging temporally. Some of us are further along, some are earlier. We're seeing different stages of the same journey. Then what stage am I asked. You're asking the question, so you're relatively early. The ones who have stopped asking are further along. Further along toward what? No answer. Kilometer 1000. The convoy was changing. Some trucks were older models from decades past, some were futuristic. Designs that didn't exist yet. We weren't just seeing parallel dimensions, we were seeing parallel timelines. Different years, different eras, all collapsed into one highway. I saw a Catherine Wells driving a horse-drawn wagon. Pre-automotive, 19th century, she was traveling the same route, same highway, but it was a dirt road, and she had the same face, same determination, same journey. I saw a Catherine Wells in a futuristic vehicle, hovering, no wheels, year 2100 maybe, or 2200. She was on the same route, same highway, but it was a light trail, and she had the same face, same purpose, same endless drive. We were all the same person, across centuries, across timelines, all driving the same route, all trapped in the same convoy. "This is the highway," a voice said, calm, resigned. "This is what it does. It connects all versions, all timelines, all possibilities. Anyone who drives this route joins the convoy, becomes part of the infinite procession. Past, present, future, all driving together, forever." How do we leave? We don't. This is the route. We're on it. We've always been on it. We'll always be on it. I looked ahead. The convoy stretched to infinity. I looked behind. Same, infinite trucks, infinite me, infinite journey. And I realized I couldn't remember starting this trip, couldn't remember loading the truck, couldn't remember leaving Fort McMurray. My memories began at kilometer 40, when I first noticed the headlights. Maybe I'd always been part of the convoy. Maybe the before was just implanted memory. Maybe I'd been driving this route forever, believing each moment was the first time, forgetting the infinite repetitions behind me. I drove. Because that's what you do. You drive. The convoy moves. The highway continues. And somewhere, another Catherine Wells is loading a truck in Fort McMurray, believing she's starting a fresh journey, not knowing she's about to join the infinite convoy, about to become one more version among millions, about to drive forever alongside herself, repeated endlessly across dimensions and timelines. I can see her in my mind, the next version just starting, still believing she's alone. She's not alone. None of us are. We're all here. All driving. All together. Forever. Story 10, the checkpoint between states. The Canadian border checkpoint at milepost 328 had been abandoned since 1974. But someone was inside the booth tonight, and they were checking documents for trucks that passed in the 1940s, the 1890s, the 22nd century. And when my turn came, they asked for papers I wouldn't carry for another 60 years, and stamped my manifest with a date from before I was born. Richard Okonkwo, 53, 30 years in cross-border transport. I knew every checkpoint between Alaska and Mexico, every customs protocol, every regulation. I'd crossed borders thousands of times. But I'd never crossed this one. The abandoned checkpoint wasn't on my route. I drove the Alaska Highway regularly, Whitehorse to Fort Nelson, standard run, no unusual stops. The checkpoint was miles off my route, accessed by a service road that branched from the main highway around milepost 328. I'd seen the turnoff hundreds of times, never taken it, never needed to. Tonight, my GPS rerouted me. Take exit to Border Services checkpoint. There's no active checkpoint here, I said to the empty cab. The GPS insisted. Border crossing required, take exit in 500 meters. I ignored it, drove past the exit. The GPS recalculated. Make U-turn, border crossing required. I continued north. The GPS got more insistent. Warning, entering controlled territory without clearance. Return to checkpoint immediately. There is no checkpoint, I said. My engine died, completely. All electrical systems failed. The truck coasted to a stop in the middle of the highway. I tried the ignition. Nothing, dead. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. What? A woman's voice, professional, slightly annoyed. Mr. Okonkwo, you've bypassed a mandatory checkpoint. You're required to return and present your documents for processing. The checkpoint at 328 has been closed for 50 years. No, sir, the checkpoint is operational. Please return immediately or your vehicle will be impounded. Who is this? Canada Border Services Agency, Station 328. Return now or face penalties. She hung up. My engine started on its own. Electrical systems came back online. The GPS displayed a new route, back to milepost 328 to the checkpoint to the service road I'd never taken. Fuck it, I muttered and followed the directions. The service road was paved but deteriorating. Cracks, potholes, 50 years of neglect. But fresh tire tracks marked the snow, recent tracks, multiple vehicles. The checkpoint appeared, a small building, single-lane inspection booth, rusted gate. Lights were on inside, a figure visible through the window. As I approached, the gate lifted automatically.